She said, if you don't clean up your room, you'll go to timeout. So the mom goes back and comes back. Then the child placed herself in a timeout.
Okay.
So, and then Joe Frost was saying, oh, she knows what she's supposed to do, you know, but she's not doing it, and I don't know what. I was like, of course, timeout is not for it because first of all, timeout would be for her as a rewarding, because she wants to escape from that demand task. Okay. So it's not going to work, you know. So you have to make sure you put a reinforcement before a punishment for that. So you have to make sure that she's succeeding. So you make it fun, you make it exciting. Wow, great job. Give me a high five. You did a great job, you know? Rather than using a punishment for that. Okay, so the thing is that people want, but if they taught, say if you do punish, let's say if it was a punishment, for example, for your attention, and the child screaming at you, mommy, you know, and you're like, stop it, you know? Okay, and that's all you do is shout, okay? I'm talking to someone, you know, but you didn't teach that person, that child, how to get your attention the rightful way. So when you reprimand, that's also punishment. But then what happens? You have also reinforced that behavior. Then he thinks that this is the only way. Every time reprimand can be a way of still a reinforcing for the child because he gets the attention. So. We that's why we say, okay, if you're reprimanding, you know, but if you have to teach, look, when mommy's talking to someone and I place my hand, okay, you wait. When I'm done, I will talk to you. And the child will start learning, okay, this is then, or, you know, you don't answer the child. And then when the child's waiting, very nice waiting. So that's how you want it. So then that's how they start to learn. So it's all, again, we go back to operant conditioning in that part.
Interesting. Because the way that dialogue goes in the philosophy, then you would imagine that every interaction is a condition.
Yes, it is conditioned.
Interesting.
Because it is conditioned to, you know, what this child, you know.
So you're not making decisions because of freedom. You're making decisions based on predictions of past events.
Yes, it is past event. It is he's been taught. He learned. Then parents would come up to me. Oh, when I'm always on the phone, you know, he's always jumping up and down. Okay. So and sometimes parents say, oh, I've hit my kid. It's like, okay. And then still, but how's it working out? It's still going on. Because even the hitting, he might get upset, of course, but did it decrease the behavior? It did not, you know? He might still figure out that this is still me trying to get mommy's attention, because he didn't know how to get because nobody's taught him the alternative, how to get mommy's attention the rightful way, the right desired, appropriate way that you want him to do. Exactly. So for example, let's say my son, when we were one time out, and it was after F1, and I had a meeting in Sofitel, and he was tired, or I'm not sure what happened, and I was going to have a meeting, and then he came up to me, and I was told him, come say hi. He was like really grumpy at this point. He was pissed. I don't know what's going on. He came and tore up my paper right in front of the whole. And I was like, why did you do that? He did not want to answer. I said, go there. I'll talk to you later. Okay. And then after that, when we were done, we were going to walk. I said, why did you tear up mommy's paper? And you know that age, they don't want to answer. They're pissed off. They're angry or whatever. I said, if you don't want to answer, if you're not ready to say, mommy, I don't want to talk now. I'll talk. I prompted him. I want to talk later. And then he repeated the same, what I prompted. I was like, sure. And I gave him that immediate response, you know, immediate reinforced that behavior. I was like, sure. So when he calmed down and he came, mommy, can I talk to you? Sure, mommy, what is it? I was upset because daddy shouted at me. That's why. And I thought he was tired. Because what is it that I wanted to increase is for him to use his functional communication more rather than acting up. I said, sure. So next time. Now, because you've did that, okay, I still need you to write, you know, like let's say 5 times, I will not rip out my space. I will use my words, you know? And he was like, okay, so that was a punishment, but it also decreased that behavior. And also he's now using his functional communication a lot more than just acting out. We do want to that's why Skinner has always said that, always think of reinforcement. before anything else, because punishment doesn't it doesn't have a huge effect. You know what I mean? Because people will still keep on. If, for example, let's say when you were a kid, you did something wrong, your dad go shh. Okay, so you keep on growing up, but then when you grow up, you learn something else to do. Hide things, lie things as you're a teenager, you know?
I just didn't care.
You didn't care because you're like, oh, that's it. That's all I can do. Because sometimes kids, when they always being acknowledged, only just doing bad things, you know, wrong things, but without being taught, with not being acknowledged when they're doing something right, you know, then they're just going to say, whatever, I give up. I'll give up. I'll just keep on. This is the only way they know how to get the attention or how to do things.
No, for me, it wasn't that from an aspect of I wanted like attention or something like that. For me, it was from a point of apathy. I didn't care. Don't care. Like, I don't need like approval, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, but when you were a kid, you did.
I grew up in a boarding school when I was like 12. So
before you were 12.
Yeah, so I was very, like, before I was 12, up, like, it was just like beatings. So for me, I grew up very quickly in that sense, right?
Exactly. If you ask your parents how much they had to do beatings, right? And every time they say, "My God, this kid drives me crazy." Do you know what I mean? He never sits. Well, that's it. And their only solution is always like punishment after punishment and sending you boarding school, still doing this, or I don't know what. Do you know what I mean? Or giving you pills or or they think there's something's wrong with you. Do you know? But that's the thing, you know. If we thought of reinforcement, right, before anything like that, I swear it is more faster. You will get, and long term, more better results in the future.
Well, I come from a school of thought where I believe that certain people just shouldn't be parents. That's where I land from a philosophical perspective, right? I think some people should just concentrate on their own lives, and I think they'd be the happiest. I don't think they...
I think parents should... I don't
have children, by the way.
No, that's fine. I always say that I think all parents, before they be parents, like, you know how people go for Lamaze classes, before delivery, labor.
Sure.
They should do the same thing. There should be parenting classes. And knowing some basic concept of ABA, you know? And then before having a child. If every parent, I believe, had the knowledge of basic concept of ABA, you know, as a parent's training, I do think that they would be able to they would be knowing what to do a little bit with their children as they're growing up.
There's a difficulty when I hear people talk about childhood. And Dan and Akash has heard me say this 1,000 times over. Prior to the 1950s, there was no children's hospital. Prior to the early 1900s, there was no such thing as a childhood. 2,000 years ago, by the time of 14, you were in your first war. Life expectancy was 30 years. So this whole concept of a childhood only really existed for the last, 60, 50 year, about that. If even today's world, if you go to a third world country, at 5 years old, you're helping out in the farm, in the field. Right, and so there's that conflict I have with them.
There is that, but then when you are a child, at let's say 6, 7 years old, like my son still believes in Santa Claus, you know, and
sure, there's something interesting that just popped in my head when you said that.
So my son believes in Santa Claus and Tooth Fairy at this age, you know, and then something comes and God forbid, you know, but you know, for that age and gets molested and can't understand that they've just struck something that is not part of the development in the mind, that it's kind of like you put another spark in their mind, you know, and they have to grow to that to that thing that it's never going to be easy. And it's like, you know, people have, let's say when people have a traumatic loss or a tragic loss, you know, it takes time for them to process this, yes, and they might always carry that that tragic loss that they went through. Like we had a second son, and he passed away when he was 6 months.
My condolences.
But he already had a heart failure as, you know, being a baby, and losing him was a tragic for me, I'm not gonna, people ask, would I be better? I'm always going to carry this for the rest of my life. But I had to work on myself in order to able to move forward. Some people have that strength. Some people know it took them such a long time. I had one parent, she had a loss with two twins, and she didn't went for therapy for such a long years, and now she did.
I don't want to belittle your experience at all, but I think of my grandmother who had 11 kids and 3 survived. Right, and it was just part of the course, right? I mean, I hear stories from my own dad who when his brother was sick, their mom said, another child that I lost, and the brother was just sick, but obviously she had so much already traumatic experience with
It's just from person to person. Some people are just weak. Not weak, I can't say that word, it's just like some people are, let's say I was as a person characteristic, I've always been a strong person, and some people, no, they need time, they need other things, they need other processes. I can't speak for every person.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it from a macro perspective rather than an individual basis. When your house is on fire, you're not worried about tomorrow. Right, if you're struggling to survive, you're not worried about where am I going to shower, right? I mean,
yeah.
How would you define a woman then?
You
can cut all this out. I don't mind.
No, I will say it. I was like, well, first, so when trans woman, they say, so a trans woman is a woman. I was like, no, trans woman is a trans woman. That's it. There's no, you can't be a woman, no matter what you do, you can't tell me. I mean, if you can have a period. Sorry to say that. Woman. What's the other word rather than saying period? What is it? What?
Menstruation.
Yeah. So if you can have a menstruation, or breastfeed, pretty much go through menopause, go through all that hormones. By only then you're a woman. As a woman. To go what we go through as we grow up, as we get older, it's really hard what we have to go through, with the things we go through every day, with our hormones, with our our bodies and everything. And sometimes I always wonder those. I don't mean disrespect, but sometimes I say, why do you want to be a woman? By all means, why? You want to be a woman? By all means, take my body for this.
Grass is always greener on the other side. That's all I'm gonna say.
If I ever come back as reincarnate as something, if I have to reincarnate, I'll say, God, make me a man.
You say that. You say that. But don't forget that women get all the attention in life, and men have to get kicked in the curb. There's that too. Oh boy, men have a whole different bear of responsibility. I mean, they have to be providers. They have to make sure that things are functioning and working, right?
Absolutely. So there again, like you said, there's no perfect in any
absolutely. I mean, I'm in love with the whole gender ideology and gender changes. What's going on? Because I think this is for the past 5,000 years, 10,000 years. It's been very clear cut, and only in the last 30 years have these French authors from the 1800 that universities reading into it.
Yeah, it's always been there, but I'm okay with whoever wants to be anything. It's just like, in the end of the day, this whole thing has always been there for many years anyways. But the point is that as a mother myself, and I'm sure there's a lot of parents out there, in the end of the day, can we just, everybody's just, your sexuality is yours, mine. I'm not flaunting mine, and everyone should respect one another. It's all about respecting one person of another. Because in the end of the day, I'm a parent. I don't need you to bash your point of your view to my child. I'm the one who's raising him, paying for him, and he came out of my body, not yours, So let me do my parenting. I do not need the world to do parenting for my child.
No, I totally agree with you.
That's the only thing I think there's a lot of people out there just what a lot of parents are saying that because they saying, look, we're sorry,
No, it's fine.
We're all up for all of that. We're all okay with that. We're all good and all of this, okay? But in the end of the day, we don't need you to parent our children.
Well, see, this is where we're going to get into the nitty-gritty about this a little bit more because what you brought up is I find it fascinating. The fine of adoption and agreement, right? It's okay for others to do it, but just leave my kids alone, right? It's the free runner problem.
Yeah.
Right, in economics, where you say, well, I don't have to take responsibility because I know the next person will take up the responsibility, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so you end up with like this slowly degrading shift. And if you look at places like China, where they've just basically said to America or to the Western world, hey, you know what? If it involves ghosts, if it involves ideologies that we don't agree with or whatever, it's not being played here. It's not coming into
In
a region.
Yes. Well, again, you have to respect. It's like, well, it's the same thing as the FIFA is happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've said, like, when you're coming to Qatar, please do not wear or hold the flags and I don't know, in public affection and everything. That's it. But other than that, everyone's welcome. And then they make it like, oh, Qatar is bad, does not like and disapprove and I don't know what. I was like, no. Just why can't you just come and respect? When I go to England, I will go there and respecting the country and the people over there and how their laws are, you know?
When in Rome, be Roman.
Exactly. I'm not going to go there with my Arab mentality and cut people's line, which usually we do here, you know? And I love the fact that even though this happens, but I love the fact that we're all like very compassionate to each other and understanding, you know? It's quite different. Again, the culture is different. But if it's there, no, you've got to stand in the line. Line is a line, you know?
I agree.
For example,
Good. Sorry.
So for example, like once I was in a line and there was a situation with my child, she was with my daughter, and I had to wait such a long time in a bank, but my daughter was crying, and then I have asked, there was a person on the line, said, okay, I'm so sorry, can anyone help me? This is in Bahrain. Can anyone help me? Because my daughter's crying and I don't want to mean to cut anyone's. So there were some persons just said, sure, just, you know what, just take my ticket and I'll take yours. So that was quite nice. You know, that happens a lot in Bahrain for that part. In England, no, you're not gonna get that. It doesn't matter. So they will just like go deal with it.
Your problem.
It's your problem.
Yeah.
You still have to stand in the line, you know?
It is interesting because in the West, this appreciation for family values aren't really there. You know, if you're 18, you move out your parents' house and you're your own man, be independent, blah, blah, blah. And that's how we end up in a situation where, especially with social media and how that whole thing has come about, people in their 20s have less than one friend.
In the States?
In the States. And that's exactly the effect of what occurred. I mean, here in our society, بالأقل شيء, we have family members, we have cousins, we have uncles, we have aunts. If your grandparents are still alive, you have your grandparents. There is a lot of community and support. Sure, you know, if you're doing something that is not approved by that community, there's repercussions, right?
Yeah.
You have to take the bad with the good. You can't pick and choose.
Yeah, and that's why I always say, like, why can't the world learn from one another person of a different cultures and stuff and try to apply it with every cultural places. You know, for example, I learned from, well, I can't say state because I've never been in state, but I lived in England for 8 years. So I've learned in England, you know, how to do things with my children, you know, like I get involved in, me and my husband, you know, we do the teaching that and healthy food and not providing this and that, for example, you know, and we always fly with our children. We've done it. We don't bring nannies when we travel for that part. Then I also have our culture, the Arab culture, which is the family, the gathering, the value. We have our value, the morals, and everything. So it's quite different. And it's nice to have learning from different countries. Like in Saudis, I love the Saudi, that how they have different, like the Bedu, في البدو طريقة الجلسة and the way they sit, like men, how they have that, you know, they have the host, the person who's going, not the host, sorry, the guest of honor. He's the one who has to start off with أول شيء يعني to touch the food, and then everybody follows. I love that. That's really nice.
You don't consider it sexist that it's first the boys and then the girls? Because that's the second thing that always people bring up.
And about the first the boys and then the girls?
Yes.
Well, it's people always.
I'm for it, by the way.
No, I'm just thinking like, well, it depends where you're bringing this. Where is it coming first, boys and then girls? You know, if it's about men going like we're going in front, let's say for example, let's say there is a battlefield, you know, and men go forward first, you know, to kill before, to make sure it's safe, and then the woman, fine, you know, that's actually appropriate, you know. But again, if it's about control, that's a different story.
So
I don't know, I mean,
from what I understood it and learned it as, why men eat the first is in order to rush. Because you have someone waiting behind you. So you're meant to eat as quickly as possible and get out and get going. And I think it's true in both, it's true everywhere in our community in GCSE. What happens after dinner?
I always thought that in the majlis that the men they eat and the woman at the other side they eat as well at the same time.
This is not the Bedu style. Bedu min al-qadim. This is what.
That's not it. Okay,
No.
I got it wrong.
It was.
That's why I was wondering. Why are you saying sexist? I thought they were eating at the same time.
No. بس كبسة مثلا.
Okay.
The guys would, because it would be the same dish, right? Because there was not enough food for everyone to cook their own portion. So it was like واحد, and then the guys would eat as quickly as possible because you have a sense of hassa that someone is behind you.
Okay.
And you'd eat as quickly as possible. ودا يلا bye, go. And then they would go بالمجلس and drink chai or whatever, but they would quickly finish their meal as quickly as possible. And that's why in our culture, what happens after somebody finishes eating? We don't sit around. We don't like the Italians or the French, where we sit down, نشرب قهوة, خلاص نكلم. بعد الأكل, bye. Think about it, right? We come, at least in Saudi and Riyadh, if you have somebody over for your house, let's say dinner is, let's say, 8.
Yeah.
People come 6, 7. They'll sit, qahwa, shab if you have it, shisha. They talk, blah, 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 blah. Dinner comes. Dinner finishes. Last person finishes their meal, their bite. They get up and yalla, bye-bye, wallah ma qassawtu, blah, 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 and they go out.
Yeah, okay.
Because in French, in Italian cuisines, and like they have a meal that lasts like 6 hours.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Well, that's interesting. See, there's that information I didn't know.
Really?
No, I didn't know. I always thought that, okay, men in here, women on the other side, but they're all eating at the same time, but in just different rooms, you know? It's just that the whole, how I understood in the men's side, that the knowledge, what I...
But restaurants are different, obviously, than your house, and we're going now back.
Yeah, we're talking about the house, but you're talking about way back.
I don't know if it's way back. It's only the 70s. Jesus.
Oh my God, I was not born in the 70s. So.
Neither was I.
So I was not born in the 70s. I would not know how it works in the 70s.
But it was a different... I mean, of course it was a different world back then.
Well, yeah, I'm sure, but it's even now today, like... anything that is, I feel like anybody's who's, see, maybe because I'm a behavioral therapist and with our ethical codes and all that, I've just got so too involved with it. We have to be very understanding and never judge.
This is another topic that I wanted to preach with you because I find that fascinating, because philosophy is a branch of psychology is a branch of philosophy. Your psychology treatments are very, very different depending on which region of the world you are in.
Yes.
So you could have you can have two twins, everything identical. What's the Latin word for, Dan? Look it up. Latin word for all things being equal. It's I hate that I can't remember it. It's usually used in economics.
Omnibus?
Omnibus paribus. And all things being equal, two identical twins or two clones, whatever you want, both suffering the same mental condition, the treatment standard, what they would get in the US would be very different than the treatment standard they would get in China. Very different to this treatment standard they would get the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Because it's a reflection of psychology, of philosophy. Mm-hmm. So what we condition a treatment as is uniquely different.
It is. Again, that's why we go back to that's why every person has to have that ethical code and try to follow their ethical code. Again, even with
with an asterisk, you mean?
For example, with my ethical codes.
Sure.
Our ABA ethical code. There's a lot of things I imagine I can't follow it exactly 100% in Bahrain using that. For example, we're not allowed to take. I'll give you one small. We can't take gifts. That is nothing more than, as they say, $10. Okay. It is, it is here is a very custom normal when you help their child. They will bring you a mobile phone. We can't take that. We can't accept that, and they're going to find
reciprocity, it's called.
Yeah. So, but we can't take it, but they would say, no, because you have to travel, but we can't take it. But it's really hard to decline the client, parents, the stakeholders. They get you something like a mobile phone, and in our ethical code says nothing more than $10, for example. So there's that part, so it's very hard sometimes for us to really be 100% in our ethical code, but we do, but it's good to follow those codes to keep us, because in the end of it, it's a job to you do not want to bring other things that is nothing to do with your job. For example, religion. You don't want to involve religion into your work. This is like say, هذا حرام. Your job is to do your job.
Interesting. You don't feel like, based on our culture, that it's beneficiary to bring in what is, let's say, societal standards of what is not okay? Because that's how I see haram. I don't see haram purely as a religious text. I'm not religious. I see it as a societal application.
Well, let's say, for example, when the client came up to me and said, my son is, touching himself. Oh. No, just masturbation, he's autistic. So I was like, okay.
What can I do for you?
Make him stop.
Okay.
So sure. Where's my magic wand and I'll make it stop. I can't make it stop. Then the father, of course, is very religious. You're talking about min al-hasa, and they have this whole niqab and the woman, so they're asking me to do something to make this child to stop. لأن عيب وحرام, whatever, to touch himself or whatever it is, because they're afraid. And I can't. What am I gonna do? So if I bring the religion without following the ethical, I'll be punishing the child, or put electric. God, no. That's but you know what I mean, or a tie his hand, all of that. No, but I have to go up to. But other than that, I have to look and go back to behavior, ABA. So back to our, going back to our conceptually systematic, which is thinking of science, right? So I keep up to saying to the dad, this is a natural science. It's a human behavior. انت شلون انا اقدر امنعك انت the great pleasure of whatever you're doing if it feels good, Can I make you stop? If you can't stop, then by all means go and completely eliminate that behavior for your child. So you can't just bring. That's why it's. I always think that it's good to follow the ethic of our code. Whatever people professions.
No, I agree with you. I think
to keep it legit rather than doing things like, let's say, lawyers, taking briberies.
Sure.
For example, or which
Bakshish,
they have
yeah.
If they have their ethical code, then if they do that, that will provoke their license, because you want to make sure you are being legit. You are following those codes, and you're here to help people.
I don't disagree with you. I think that even in the ethical code, as stringent as what's the BBC? No, BBA. Which one is the ethical code and the standard in the UK? Because I remember specifically there's an asterisk involved where it says that participants must be aware of the condition of the experiment unless the experiment requires the participant to be unaware of the experiment.
What experiment is that?
So any experiment involving at all, it generally, you have an exit interview, you have a pre-interview when it comes to any kind of experiment that you're doing on a participant. However,
We're talking about psychology, right?
yeah, this is psychology.
Okay, I have no idea about that one. That's nothing.
So that's what I'm saying. But even there's an asterisk in everything. Yeah, but that's very difficult because you have to go through a whole board. It's not like how it used to be.
No, no. I love following I love being ethical in my work, and I know that there's a lot of certified behavior analysts out there who are also very. They are all following their ethical. But plus, if we don't, and if anyone's suspecting that they're not following, and we do not want our license to be provoked, because the person can, if they after it's been mentioned to them, and if they still didn't change it, can be told to the board.
You have an interview in general, no? There's an investigation if you do something.
There can be an investigation, yeah.
Yeah,
and then we don't want that.
Yeah, and then there's a ruling afterwards, and then it depends on how severe the ruling is.
Exactly, because in the end of the day, they have always said to us, as an ABA therapist, you do want to be out there and presented for positive things.
Sure.
Not, because people still have misconceptions about it and have negative thoughts about it. Some people say it's an abuse. Some said, oh, it's like animal training, but it's not. I understand that if it was used in a very negative way, maybe until the 80s, and then things have since. That's why they meet these ethics, so everybody follows those ethics, and without you being used in a harmful manner, because we do not want to be used in a harmful manner. We want to enrich a person's life and to be socially able to be socially significant in the world, within the society.
But that's why I love I love to follow the codes. There is a place here in Bahrain that works with children with disabilities. I forgot their name.
Thinking?
Yeah.
Therapeutic intervention for kids, right? Thinking.
Is it Thinking? I think there's another one. Danny, can you look it up? Just type in Bahrain Children Center, I guess. What would you type into search to find it?
There's a lot of. Is it schools we're talking about or centers we're talking about?
It's a center.
Child development would be.
Is Think Pink? Not pink, purple.
They have those colored like a TH. If you look at Think Ink. No, just Think Ink. With the C. Aldana Center, for example, also they have qualified behavior analysts as well, but their focus is more for more severe cases and people who can't
financially constrained.
Yes. So again, like for example, and again, we have to make sure when we have a client comes to me, I have to make sure as well, am I competent enough to take this kid? Do I have enough resources for this child, before taking on the case? If I can't, of course, I have to refer them to whether it's Reach, whether it's Thinking, whether it's Aldana, to rightful help that they can provide. Or even we have to think of within their budget. So if someone I have a lot of person came up to me and they don't have the budget. Their income is very low. Maybe they can spend $200 a month. you know. So, but of course, I would send them to, like, for example, a Liana center to that they can help for that client. But if I see a client who they do have the financial, I had that, but it's very beyond my, I don't have enough resources for that, you know, for this, because this kid needs a lot of work. So then I would send them to, refer them to Thinking or Reach.
So what would be the difference between a kid that would need a lot of work and a kid that would need very little work? So I can understand what the spectrum we're talking about here.
Well, it depends. I mean, again, it depends from, it's very hard for me to say because it depends from,
like I would imagine ADHD kid is not the same as the kid who suffers from Asperger's or
Asperger's is also very different as well.
No, I'm saying as a spectrum from difficulty of treatment, an autistic kid is very different than an ADHD kid, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Both are neurodivergent.
It's two different. It depends. Yeah. So it's just say if this kid comes up to me. Oh, let's say I had a kid who came, like, let's say he's 2.5, and or that time he had a eating, a food problem eating, he would still eat baby food, still needs OT other than ABA, and needs a lot of work. It's not just an hour, so yes, it needs a big team. It needs a lot of work. I don't have enough resources for that, so he needs OT, he needs this, he needs a lot of things. So in order for me to, that's why I would transfer them to Thinking, for example.
Okay.
If a kid comes up to me, it's like, okay, it can be, I can see that, okay, it's just a little language, there's some languages, okay, they're autistic,
depends on the level.
Yes, on the level, okay, doesn't need, okay, 5 times a week, still there's work, but we're not talking about, let's say, 8 hours of my time.
So have you read the study on, I'm trying to remember it. Biobacteria, no, is it can you look up what stomach bacteria is called again? It's called biopharm, stomach bacteria. It's called your bio.
I wouldn't know what that is.
Your bio, Heliobacter is one word for it. But you need, not biomass. It'll come to me, or somebody in the comments will put it. No. It's called your biotree, your biosphere, your bio something.
I don't know.
It's about the various bacteria. So you want to have different bacteria in your stomach. What's that called? Term for different bacteria in your stomach. Just type that in. We'll have to, I don't know. We'll keep the stuff in. But for the audio listeners, it's pretty boring. Microbiome. Fuck, that was hard. Okay, so I was reading a study recently that talked about children with autism. One of the treatment options was introducing a new microbiome into their stomach. Okay. That helped mitigate a lot of the effects or the external reactions from autistic children. I
can't answer that because that's kind of
pseudoscience.
No, I mean, in the end of the day, when a child comes, we have to rule out the medical. So I wouldn't know in the term. We stick to completely into behavior. I can't. So even parents, when they come up to me and say, "Is my child autistic?" We can't tell you if they're autistic or not. We can't give a diagnosis.
Dan, look up microbiome and autism. I want to be sure that I'm right on this. I don't want to look like a dum-dum.
I have a lot of people come up to me and say, "Oh, is stem cell gonna, let's say, help autism, or is it going to do this?" Or I was like, "I don't know. I'm not sure. You can try." It's not our department.
Damn it! We found no evidence for a relationship between autism and the measure of the microbiome as a whole, or microbiome diversity. Only one bacteria species out of more than 600,000 showed association with autism. So, too bad, nothing yet.
Yeah. And nothing is there for us to say, even when people come up to me and say, oh, is this going to help, cure autism, for example, or this is going to do, I was like, I don't know. It's just a hypothetical, theoretical thing out there. I don't know, we're here. I am as a behavior therapist. We just work on what is important and what we need to work on, what it can be. We just want to make sure if the person is able to, socially applying to be socially significant in the world, because in the end of the day, behavior can put you into trouble.
Sure.
So sometimes I have people say, oh, my child is genius. I was like, I know, but even genius can go to the jail.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I have Harvard degree, and this is how I explain to parents, it doesn't matter if I have a Harvard degree and I get in trouble with the law and I end up in the jail, I can just flush down that Harvard degree thing in the,
We had this conversation off the camera. Unabomber comes again into play.
Yeah, so that we want for every person with neurodivergence or neurodiversity.
That's a very woke term for it.
Yes, to be within the society, and to be happy, and not just because if they're feeling isolated, they can't, they can be in trouble. Because if you see in the West, there's a lot of as well autistic kids. Police has took them and handcuffed them, which is kind of very traumatizing.
It sucks.
It does suck. But it would be nice if we've taught them, right?
Sure.
Depends on the level, of course. But
yeah.
We do want them for them. And one of the things that not about teachers, about parents always ask this one question: what's going to happen to my child if I'm not in this world? I am here for my child. When he grows, what's going to happen? What's going to happen if right now I'm taking care of him, but I'm not in this world? Who's going to take care of him? We want to make him to able to take care of himself, so parents don't worry about that. That's very important. And this is something we want them. We want to. That's our job. That's where we are here to help. Another thing that I am starting a course as well. That's why I was late.
No worries, I understand.
I'm starting with baby sleep consultancy. So working on, because there's a lot of people out there having struggles putting the babies to sleep. Mm-hmm. They feel, and a lot of, actually not just babies, we're all sleep deprived. Mm-hmm. Even doctors. And
famously, doctors are sleep deprived.
Every one of us. And a lot of people in this world have a lot of little information about sleep, about having good enough sleep. And this is one of the reasons why I'm actually adding another qualification for myself.
Do you believe in not using electronic devices an hour before bed, using orange glasses to block blue light, not drinking coffee, keep a cold environment, 19 degrees, 18 degrees for a bedroom?
I don't know about that degree, but electronics, yes, because one thing people asked, why has ADHD increased a lot?
Okay.
A lot of people are being diagnosed a lot lately with everyone's ADHD. And I think one psychiatric doctor was talking, and he was right. I do believe what he was saying. I do believe what he said, that even us today, the blue light has increased a lot because it's all in our palm of our hand. Mm-hmm. So the sleep has deprived for a lot of people, even children.
Do you not believe it has more to do with the lack of activity and the sedentary lifestyle that society is going through at the moment?
Well, because it's everyone.
Sure, it goes from the young to the old, but
for old people now, so much, like you're in a car and you can see everybody has that habit, you know?
Look at your own life, and I can look at my life. How many hours did you spend in school a day? 6?
Yeah. How many hours people are actually spending on their iPhones?
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
6 hours, I'm sure.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you're already spending 6 hours sitting down in an environment, and then when you leave the home, for me, it was always like outdoor activity, bicycling, fishing, whatever.
So that's 6 hours. So that's 12 hours. And then on top of it, let's say even, and then you have half an hour eating and then half an hour whatever. And then few hours of
homework and whatnot.
Oh, not even homework. Let's say sleeping or whatever. So how many...
That was back in my day, right? I'm talking about the early 90s.
Oh, 90s was different. But now if you see how many hours do you actually spend doing something for you or doing something, nothing. And I feel so bad because it's not... Everyone uses it electronic as the solution for, you know, to keep them quiet so they can sit in the restaurant, you know, or for example, anything that they just keep these children quiet, you know.
I understand where you're coming from.
And I can understand it's really hard, but that's not the only solution. I don't have a PlayStation for my son. We do have an iPad, but our iPad there's nothing there. There's no gaming. There's nothing. There's no YouTube. We don't agree with YouTube as well, because a lot of stuff pops out that could be very inappropriate for children. Even YouTube Kids, you'd be surprised. Things can pop out. One of the things right now is out there is Huggy Wuggy. I hope I'm saying it right. It's about this monster tells children to kill people, and that's out there. A few years ago, a couple of years ago, it was Momo, and telling kids to commit suicide.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because don't you feel, I find that interesting because, again, I look at it from a past tense experience, right? Especially if you were born between the 1980s and earlier, you were expected to contribute to the family in the sense of like slaughtering animals, chicken, chaouf. This was normal part.
Are you going to the vegan stuff?
No, I'm not going to the vegan stuff. But I just find it interesting that you're worried about your child's view habits from this hobo bear telling kids to kill people, where death was so much more prominent.
It is. No.
As like if we go back to our own past.
No, I know, but see, let's say he watches Star Wars.
Sure.
Now, this is funny because my son came up to me and says, so I can't see, so I told him, you know, and he says, why is killing is bad? I watch Star Wars and they're killing. I was like, watching, that's a movie.
Sure.
It's different when someone's telling you what to do, you know?
Okay.
They're actually telling them, you know, like giving them a task or challenges.
Interesting.
That's the thing, that's what's happening, and it's scary.
And you think that's worse than a 7-year-old twisting the neck of a chicken?
That's
what I'm saying. Because
yeah, but you what do you mean? Okay, a 7-year-old twisting a neck of a chicken just because he killed he wants to kill, or is it because he's trying? Let's say he's
contributing to the family's kitchen.
Okay, so because they told him to kill the chicken and
to defeather it, and it's going to be cooked.
Okay, that's two different things.
Okay? I agree. I mean, one is a sociopath.
Yes, okay. So, and there is the one, but I'm sure nobody's going to give a 7-year-old to go and chop the chip. Oh, there is. Woo, I don't know what to say, but then that's...
Also, in Islam, we chop it because we want the blood to drain. But in Western cultures, they don't do that. They twist the neck.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Or if you get a fish and you take it out of the ocean, right? You take a...
Oh, the fish is different.
You hit it with a hammer. Because it doesn't have human eyes? Where do you put the line?
For me, I don't know. So I feel like kids get very attached to an animal. Hmm? And sometimes it's very hard for kids to even actually kill a chicken or something.
My friend was emotionally scarred exactly on that topic. He told me a story and he was tearing up when he was telling it to me. And I couldn't relate to it. He said, my grandpa came to me and said, which one's your favorite sheep? He pointed out and said, that's my favorite sheep. And that's the one they killed and then they ate. And the lesson he was trying to instill into his grandson was that they're livestock. They're not your pet.
Okay, and so are we not sharks' pets, right? The shark eats. So we're also the food stock for the shark.
I agree.
or the lion.
I agree. I don't think if you go to any national park where there's bears and other animals roaming around, they don't look at you and be like, oh, you know what? You're okay.
You're so cute. Can we have you?
No way. They're gonna be like, you're gonna get it eaten immediately.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's true. But the thing is that this is quite, different. It's just, you're talking about them going and killing a human being or a child, which is murdering.
Sure, but you find it also in religious texts. Buddhism, for example, teaches kill your teacher, kill your parents, kill your God. Can you look up that quote from Buddhism?
Well, I'm not Buddhist. So.
I'm just saying. I mean, Dan is Christian. I'm sure the Bible has some fucked up shit in it. It's kill your parents, kill your teacher, kill your God in Buddhism.
Oh my God.
Yeah, see? It came up.
Oh God. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's an interesting ideology behind that. What he was trying to, I don't know if it was Buddha really who wrote it, but I remember it was a monk who studied Buddhism. What he was trying to say with that is that the ideologies, the thinking, the pattern of your awareness, the decisions of what you're coming from are all from an external source putting down.
So then again, it's the same as everything else.
Isn't that interesting?
Well, it's interesting, but if you think about it, people wants to read what they want to hear, right? Or what they want to do. For example,
if you're referring to me, I just like reading.
I know. Let's say, okay, Skinner's. I remember there was a quote. He said, "The rats are always correct." And we're like, what? But read between the lines. He means like, children are always correct.
The metaphor, sure.
Yes, exactly. So again, we go back. You say, kill the teacher. So I can go kill the Buddha. I'm Buddhist, so I can go kill. Come on, that's not
what he was trying to say.
Exactly. And it's like...
Great marketing, though.
Yes. Exactly.
It did make you stop and go,
What? Yeah. And it's like in our Quran, you can go marry 4 wives. What?
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to disagree. We're going to have a little fight on that because I feel like in the UAE, specifically, it's becoming more and more common.
No, but what I'm saying is like they're not reading the whole. They're just reading. You can have 4 wives. That's it. Okay. Hello. Can we go back and then after read the whole thing? Interesting.
So you're saying that if a guy wants to have 4 wives, he should also follow the other guidelines?
No, it says that it's not about the guidelines. You forgot where the text says the rest of it. Can you treat treat each one equally as the I think it's as the first, then it's fine.
No,
what it means is no way that ever happened.
No, come on.
Come on, you will always have a favorite. Even as a parent, I'm sure parents have a favorite child.
I like how you...
If they ask me, who's your favorite? I love them both.
It says,
but who's the favorite? As a secret, you can say it. I was
let me...
of course, there is some little part somewhere
I'll make sure when I marry my 4 wives that I'll have equal emotion with all 4.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Can you...
I will put that in writing.
There's all 4 of them. They're all different personality. You're never gonna love each 4 of them all equal. I have brothers. I can't love my brother exactly the same. Like each one of them is different than the other. I love him different than the other one. He has great something positive, and that he doesn't. And the other one, even my sister,
Mm-hmm.
It's even parents. You're gonna pick your own parents. You're gonna tell me you love mom and dad equally.
No, but I'm a boy.
Yeah, but I'm saying. I'm sure
Oedipus for the son, Oedipus for the daughters, Oedipus for the daughters, and what's the other one?
Well, I actually wanted to call my dog. Actually, the name I wanted to pick, it was Bob.
Bob is a good name.
Plain as Bob. You know that movie, that old movie called Where's Bob?
Yeah.
Where's Bob? That's the comedy, the one with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
One of my favorite. I watched it.
I love Bill Murray. You too?
I love it. And I watched that movie 100 times and I still, till today, crack up laughing. And it never gets old, me watching that movie.
Have you seen A Christmas Story with Bill Murray?
Yes, but Where's Bob is one of my ultimate favorite.
Can you type in two things? What's Bob short for? Robert, I think. Robert is Bob short.
Depends, yeah. I mean, that's it?
Yeah, I think that the acronym...
Or Bobby.
Or Bobby. I think, but originally, it's like the Dick means Richard.
Well, I know Robert would be Rob.
Robert would be... Can you type in what's the...
Robert Robert would be Rob or Robbie. But for Bobby would...
Robert is Bob, right?
Oh, okay. Oh.
See?
All right. So there's have more than one.
Yeah. Well, there was another acronym. What was it? Tom, Dick, and Harry. Yeah.
Okay. So I thought of that movie, and people thought it was because Bob Marley. I thought of calling him Bob. I was like, nope. It's because of that movie, Where's Bob? It's so easy. Bob? Where's Bob? Where is Bob? You know? Bob. So
type
easy.
in Where's Bob. I don't remember the poster anymore. Where is Bob? You got it, Lou. You can look it up.
Yeah.
And what do we have here? How does the poster look? You have to
you
type in movie.
Yeah, you gotta say movie.
Some poor guy being pinged.
No, I love it, and you know what? It's so funny because it goes back to this person who has anxiety and OCD, and then drives the psychiatric doctor insane. So,
yes, it's clicking now again. Yes.
It made me. If you see that, if you go to that part where this he's, that part, the shadow of it.
Yeah, the shadow. Yeah. It's the movie poster. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's like he's the crazy person, and then he's driving the psychologist, the psychiatrist crazy. And I thought that was great. That was great because it's my profession in that part, and calling him Bob. At the same time, what about? Oh, sorry, not Where's Bob? What about Bob?
What about Bob?
That's the one. Sorry, What About Bob? That was my favorite all-time movie. What about Bob? Where's Bob? Bob.
Any other movies you love from our dear friend Bill Murray?
It would be more comedy. I love comedy.
I think he's only done one or two like serious roles, like non-comedic roles.
I don't remember because I have to remember, but he has a lot of nice. I mean, back in those days, they were nice comedy movies.
He did Ghostbusters.
Yes, that's
famously. Right. He did Christmas something. Mm-hmm. Christmas.
Yeah, I remember which one. I forgot what it was. There was another one that's the
Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
That was also fantastic.
That was fantastic as well. I love that.
I'm thinking there's another one that's on top of my tongue. Candy Shack, which everyone knows. You've never seen Candy Shack?
You gotta show it to me. Okay. Candy Shack.
Akash, if you keep being on your phone, I will throw it out the window.
But isn't Bob would be much better than the name that my son picked out called?
Yeah.
Oh yes, I love that. Yes, I've watched it. I loved it.
Oh right, it had Rodney Dangerfield in it.
There you go. Yeah.
That's a fantastic movie.
That was the most. Oh, I've watched it. It was so funny. The one with the squirrel. Oh,
yes.
Was it a squirrel? No,
it's beaver.
A beaver. Oh, it's so funny.
It's a fantastic film.
Classic movies. Love it.
What do you think happened? I feel like cinema died after the 80s.
I can say also even after the 90s. Even 90s was okay. It was good. It was funny.
You had Batman 1991. You had The Matrix, which came out in the early 2000s.
Well, again, it's not 90s, right?
True.
We go back to the 90s. I loved all the way 90s until like we're coming to the end of 90s. It started to go a little bit. It was still okay, but then it started to go quite down. We weren't having that much of comedies, I felt.
I heard something really interesting, and it was that the thing that speeds creativity or spears creativity is boredom, and no one is bored anymore.
True. Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah,
Everyone's on their phone. I mean, you can't be bored if you're on TikTok, right?
That's pretty much what everyone's doing.
But that's my point, right?
Yeah.
But think about it. From the last movies that's in the cinema, it's remakes. It's old IPs. All these superhero comic books that came out in the early 90s, 80s, are all being just now told in the cinema.
I know. So we'll go back to the confus thing, where my son said it confus, which is, I even told him, what about, confus. I was like, he was young, and I was like, fine, we'll call him confus, And it's so hard because everyone, when they see our dog, it says, what's your dog name? Confus? And they were like, oh, what does that mean? I said in Arabic. I have to explain it's hedgehog, because he's fond of Sonic, so he knew what hedgehog is in Arabic. It's qunfud. He said qunfud, so it got stuck to it. And I actually prefer still calling him Bob, because he looks like a Bob.
So is he confused, the poor guy?
No, I don't call him Bob. It's so hard for me to say, this guy can't do that, Then my husband said, all right, after maybe the next dog's like,
that was a Freudian slip right there.
That's it. When he said the next dog, he's like, what? Something happens to him, I cannot live myself, Are you kidding me? I can't. I mean, if something happens, I cannot think. It's like, having another dog, No way. That's it. I don't know. I can't say that because he's still my third little baby.
I remember speaking to my vet about this, and he said the best thing you can do and honor your dog is to get another dog. Right? I mean, I guess he's also talking from a sense of business. He's reinsuring that he's on the payroll.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. But yeah, it's quite nice to have so literally I feel like I have 3 kids in the house. So.
2 human kids enough?
2 human, oh my God.
No third in the planning?
No, we're done. I'm turning 40 tomorrow.
Stop.
40, woohoo.
Stop.
Everyone asked me, are you going to do anything for your big F40? I was like, no, I don't know. If I want to do, I was just saying to one of my friends, I want to do something in my 40s. They were like, what? Like brunch? I was like, no, not the usual. I want to do something stupid.
Okay, let's hear it.
They were like, what do you mean? It's like, I don't know, maybe we go skating, roller skating, people getting drunk or whatever.
Sure.
And then maybe do, I don't know, I'm thinking something really dumb and stupid.
I mean, I don't know what the budget is, but can you go like skiing? Wouldn't that be fun in Dubai? It's like 50 BD flight.
Well, when I say stupid, it means like really being silly and goofy.
You don't
and
think
stupid
it's
for 40 years old? People seeing 40 years old on a rollerblades, Whee!
You don't think skiing is stupid in Dubai?
No, I mean people are still snow what they call it, snowboarding and stuff. Yeah, but we're talking about dress up like we're still young and 20s.
Okay.
Having our ponytails.
Okay.
And rollerblading,
I'm trying
as a child, like little kids around.
I'm trying to think, how would you set up a retro party from the night?
Or maybe have a limo,
Okay.
I don't know, good. Something I mean, everyone's trying to give me, ideas, something dumb and stupid, because last year, I said, look, I've did celebrate it, but not my 40th. I did it on 39. We had a girls trip to Dubai. It was fun, and
wasn't that exhausting though?
It was the best birthday ever. 39th of my 39th. We all went for my 39th birthday. And it was like, why? You should have done it on your 40th. It's like, no, you should have done it on your 39 to celebrate. Yay, I got one more year. I turned 40.
Interesting. Interesting.
Who wants to celebrate when they turn 40 or 50, That big transition from the 3 of after decade and then going to 40. It's so hard to say.
This is a very different dialogue that you had earlier with me. You're like, oh, it's just a number. Who cares?
Oh, yes.
And now truth comes out.
Oh, yes, 40, you know? And then you knowingly, as years goes by, oh my, you're going to enjoy it. But then you're knowing that down the line, oh my God, I'm going to be 50 in a decade. I'm going to be in that road very soon.
But don't you just feel like lying? Just be like, who gives a shit? You know, just say you're like 36 or whatever, and just be like.
All I can think is that, oh my God, I'm getting close to death. I want to die when I'm like the Queen.
Yeah?
Yeah, I want to be that old.
I don't know.
Everyone's like, why? It's like, have you not seen the Queen? She's still fit all the way till her last breath.
Yeah, but like her son moved out, her husband is dead, all her friends are gone. She's the last one like holding her.
I'll be partying in my 90s. You know, I don't know what I feel like I can.
How much exercise do you do a day?
A lot.
Then you have a good chance of still being like active. But people who just sit on the chair for like 6 hours or 8 hours a day.
Exercise is one thing, but then also sleep. You have to make sure you have enough sleep, and anxieties and all that. You have to learn how to control all of that.
That's the only way to live good unto 90. Because otherwise you're not living good until. You want to go to 100?
Hoping.
The triple digits?
The triple digits. I want to go by 100, and I do want to. I guess I'm.
Isn't it more about the quality than the quantity, though?
What no, I want to live. And if people ask me why, I said I don't know. I guess I'm just so curious what's gonna happen with all these generations. What's gonna happen?
I think you're.
I'm just curious.
I think that the older you get, your neurons start slowing down. You start kind of like degrading, right? Like a piece of meat in the sun. And I feel like you're just not connecting.
Queen Elizabeth, she was born in 1928, in the 20s, and then, wow, that's amazing. Like she lived that in the 20s and then 30s, 40s. She's seen it all, you know? She went through all that life of transitions, changes of the world. It's quite interesting to go through all of that and then, of course, until the end and say, okay, you know what? I've seen it all. I'm good to go, you know?
But we come back to the same issue, right? I think it's quality over quantity. I think having a life that is fulfilling and you're doing adventurous things is better than living to 100 where you sat on a desk as an accountant. Unless you really love.
That's not what I'm gonna do.
Unless you really love being an accountant.
Oh, that's not what I'm gonna do. That's not what I want to do. I was hoping like I'll enjoy other things when I'm old enough. You know, like one of the thing I said to my husband, I would love to retire. I mean, when Marcus buggers off to university, college, and I was saying I would love to, you know, get a place like maybe in Egypt or Thailand, you know, a farm farm by the sea, and grow our vegetables and stuff, and then wake up in the morning and catch a fish. And that's the food whatever you catch, you're gonna eat.
That is such a white girl attitude. That is unbelievable.
No.
That is unbelievable.
Oh, I would love to live like a hippie.
Oh my God. Like as a man hearing that, I'm like, fuck, no way.
Really?
No way.
Oh, he loves it too.
My uncle, by the way, this is how he called the shots. Retired, said to his wife, khalas. You've gotten the kids, they're all out. You've got money. Now I want to aish hayati. Which is going and opening a maz'a. Fatih maz'a farm.
Oh, maz'a.
And he opened a farm and he would get blackout drunk every single day on Red Label. Every single day. And I came to him a couple of times, 3-4 times, and I said,
yeah, that's not fun for me.
Habibi, وش قاعد تسوي? And he said, شوف, I lived my life for my kids. I lived my life for my wife. I gave them happy kids. They're all healthy. I gave her a happy life. They all are عندهم كل شيء. They don't need anything. خلاص عندهم كل شيء. He said, now I just want to do what makes me happy. And I said, okay. And what's that? Getting blackout drunk. And he had a maz'ad. He employed some staff, right? And he just had them grow the field.
Well, if that makes him happy.
4 years. That's all it took him for die from liver cirrhosis.
Oh God, no, well, that's what he wants.
Exactly. And I remember seeing him in the hospital, and he was like, I'm going out on my own terms.
Oh, that's what. No, I actually want to enjoy, because we live this world. That's what I feel like. It's such a fast world. Such a fast world.
Depends on where you live in.
Well, we're living here. It's a very fast world. Not like London and stuff. Yes, I know. But,
Not like Hong Kong.
Or any of it. But yes, but being a mom and working full time and doing things for their kids, being there for for my kids, for our kids, and we start for you don't have you're lucky to even have some time for even a social little life, so it's, and also to appreciate little stuff around you other than just because all your focus is about your kids.
Well, do you need the extra income from the job?
What?
Do you need the extra income from the job?
Oh yes, of course. I mean,
then that's its own animal, right? If you can tighten the belt and say, listen, what, I want to cut down on my work hours, then you could have a more relaxed approach, right?
Exactly, but there's that. So that's why we're waiting. When their buggers up, then we don't have to all of that, and I can say, okay, we've worked hard, we've done all of that. It is time for us to enjoy.
I did this math with a friend of mine. This was based on London, so I don't know if it's applicable here in Bahrain. He said the average salary, let's take in consideration for a person in their 30s when they're having kids, it's around, let's say, 40 to 60K. Average it out by mean, it's 50. Fine. Mean, 50. So you have two adults full-time working is about 100K. Great. Now to have someone, a nanny or someone else, to help with the kid costs you about 40K a year. So basically, you're working a full-time job to hire someone.
In London?
This was in London. To hire someone to have to be around your kid in order to carry home an extra paycheck of 10K.
London.
In London, but it doesn't make feasible, like for 10K extra to work a 9-to-5 job doesn't make sense.
That's London.
No, I agree.
But here it's quite different, right?
I mean, I don't. I mean, what's the averages here? I think it's like 1,000 BDE. I think is the average. No, average.
Average job salary.
Income salary is 1,000 BDE. I think.
Yeah.
Of course, for expats it's lower.
Depends.
No, for expats it's definitely lower. You don't think so?
Depends again from expats. By some expats they do quite well pay.
Yeah, but I mean,
some expats don't. Some expats, again, it's for here to there. And there's some Bahraini who doesn't get 1,000 as well. They get 500.
Sure.
500, 600 as well.
Sure, absolutely.
So there is a lot, but again, the school fees are killing us.
Really?
School fees are killing us.
So you don't feel like you'd be able to financially be more free if you would move to Saudi or UAE?
The UAE school fees are even more expensive than here.
Sure, but the ability of maneuvering in your job, you have a lot more potential.
You mean the kind of job I do?
No, I mean generally for both of you, right? I mean, can you find more work in Saudi Arabia or can you find more work in Bahrain?
I would find,
right?
I would definitely find more. I'll be more. I feel like I think like in Saudi I would have
more opportunities.
More opportunities, of course, and.
This is not like a secret. One has a 1 million and the other is 30 million.
You do get paid, and if it's my husband's job, which he's a banker working there, I'm sure he will get more paid there.
Well, he also has more opportunity, doesn't he? Because there's more banks.
And on top of it, if you want to add, say, hey, there isn't much to do in Saudi, so a lot of money gets saved up as well.
Alhamdulillah, even better.
Which is even great, but. Yes, in Bahrain it's just non-stop, And imagine in Dubai and UAE, it's just. People, yes, in Dubai, I even got offered to get paid really high salary. But when I looked at it, the high salaries on average, you're going to be living in Dubai.
Well, that's normal though, right?
Exactly.
Your income, generally income increases are tied with rent. I think about 40 to 60% of your salary disappears into rent. Generally, that's the figure.
Again, rent or depends on your house. mainly here, I mean, education. The private schools are very expensive. I mean, it's not like you're in England or in America that they go by district or anything like that, which they go, it's quite expensive to have. I mean, like, for example, St. Chris is 8,000 per year for a child. I mean, as they go
Sure.
you're in A levels. And that's I'm calculating two kids, 8,000. That's a lot. And on top of it, you know, they want to do other things as well, these kids. Like the other activities you want to provide for them and stuff like that. That's other expense. So per year, how much are you spending on your children other than just, school?
No, I understand where you're coming from.
So it's like, I feel like we're spending like right now at this point, what, 10 to 20,000 dinars per year for my two kids. That's a lot.
I agree.
If I literally save up 20,000 dinars per year, let's say in 5 years, I could easily buy a nice house down payment, for example.
Sure, but I will tell you this. If your salary is 1,000 BD this month and next month is 1,500 BD, that doesn't mean suddenly you have saved up 500 BD. It means that you have spent 1,500 BD. As income increases, so does lifestyle. Very few people manage to increase income and stay stagnant lifestyle-wise. No. Generally, it is an upward trend.
Yes, because me and my husband, we're very blessed that we've always, since the day we got married, we never taken a loan, ever. And everyone's surprised how we never taken a loan till today. I was like, we only spend
a lot of sacrifice. That's how you do it.
Yeah, well, we spend what we have, not what we don't have.
Sure.
And we don't spend everything from paycheck to paycheck. So again, I'm a planner. I love to plan things. So I've planned everything. For example, you can go buy underwear from Marks and Spencer, for example, which will cost you, let's say, 5 packs of underwear for boys, let's say 10 dinars. Or you can go to Mac store and get this 5 packs of underwear, which will cost you 2 dinars.
If you're really smart, you go to Alibaba.
I do Alibaba actually a lot, and I'm actually a big spender on Alibaba because, for example,
the wholesale stuff you can buy.
I bought this much school items, which they want. Well, I know there's a lot of school items here, and there's a lot of Anwar because we live right next to it. So it's very cheap and stuff, but they wanted their special bag, like Star Wars or I don't know what, or Among Us, and she wanted some specific character. So it was easy, and I ordered so much stuff for their school, which cost us like special. They want that shoe and I don't know what. It cost us 20 dinars, and I've got what I spent. What for? How many items? 10 items. It made my life easier.
So that comes back to the question.
Being smart.
I mean.
Or traveling. Let's go to the traveling, right?
Sure.
So summer comes up. I don't know, but I've heard, I was surprised, even asked my husband, he says, yes, there are people who do take loans to travel.
Yes.
I was like, what? It must be insane, But why do you have to travel to Europe for, let's say, spend 5,000 dinars or 10,000, and then when you come back, you have to pay off that 5,000 dinars,
Sure.
I would never, if I can travel to Europe and I would plan for a year to save up for that travel if we were planning to do.
Sure.
But I rather travel, but again, we go with a budget. So I always go within our budget. We have the best time of our life. It doesn't matter where we go. The kids, they just want to spend time with mom and dad. My son, I remember we traveled, he was 2.5. We went to Thailand, and that boy did not move out of his seat at all. He was so well behaved. I had cabin crew. They were shocked how old is your child? Your kids, your son? And I was like, yeah, he's 2.5, because I made it fun. I made sure I prepared everything. He has his Jackbox was ready, so he has his seat up already, and there's nothing. His iPad was ready, his big headphone, all the movies was
On it.
on it. We had colorings, everything was ready. And when we traveled as well this summer with our kids to Egypt, this with two of my kids, because the last time my daughter traveled when she was 2 before COVID. She's 4.5 now. So, and the last year trip we went, it was just Dubai, so it's quite easy. But yes, everything was, they were amazing on how they were on the airplane, because they knew how to behave. Everything's been taught and reinforced. I've reinforced everything to them. And that's why we have a great time traveling with our kids. We love being around them and running around and spending time and swimming with them, because we're 9 months, we're busy working.
I hear where you're coming from. However, I totally disagree. I don't know what situation in life would have to happen, or how my potential one of my 4 women would convince me to take the kids with me. I don't know. I don't know what kind of dialogue or argument you'd have to present me, because right now where I sit and stand, I'll be like, fuck those bastards. They're not traveling. I'm not gonna put people through that. And you know what I'll do? I'll take the money that we saved potentially from those travel trips, and I'll put it in a bank account on an interest-based index fund. Let it grow at an average of 10%. Then when they're 16 or 16, why not? I'll give them the cash in their pocket, in their hand.
No, I didn't finish. They do have that too.
Sure. And I'd tell them, go travel Europe.
Oh, they have that.
Okay.
My kids have each one of them.
Okay.
A bank account.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong. When we say we travel with our kids, we do travel, me and my husband, once a year without our kids.
Okay, there we go.
One of the things is that don't forget your own, your spouse. Before we're parents or even husband and wife, we were boyfriend and girlfriend. We were lovers, and it's nice to travel. Me and him, we do travel to our places that we always wanted to go.
Okay,
so
let's play. Tell us.
So we every time we pick a different destination.
Last destination was
London. It was one of our friends' wedding.
Okay.
And I haven't been to London for 10 years.
And how was it?
It was, as I always said, I don't want to go back to London until I really miss it.
Sure.
It was so nice to see all my friends. It was so nice to be here. It felt like, because he studied in England in Birmingham, and I was in Newcastle and then London. Actually, Scotland, Newcastle, and London, actually, all the way. And it felt like we were students.
But what made you then return from London? You saw the life down there.
It's different when you go now that you're not student and you've got money now to spend.
Sure, but when you were a student there, you didn't try to find a job in the UK at the time?
I did work it was funny. It was so funny. It was in Newcastle. Oh, it was me and my friend Pooja, and I think Zinzi as well was with us. Mm-hmm. And we were just goofing around and
having fun.
In a nightlife. And we saw a sign, wanted. It was a Chinese restaurant, those buffet Chinese in Newcastle at the Gateshead. And so we thought, let's go, as a joke. We went there to get a job as a joke, okay?
And you walked out with a job.
We walked out with a job because each one of, Pooja comes from a very privileged family because, very wealthy, and as well as Zinzi, so is mine, because we don't really need a job, But we came out with a job, and 1 month later, we all got fired without our job.
Well, there we go.
But I love that experience as a waitress. It was really quite funny because it made me to see and understand it wasn't easy. It was not easy. And people say, why did you do this? I always wanted to feel, what is it like working and studying, because most of these students have to
work and study at the same time.
as a
Yeah.
bartender or anything, and
Well, now they get student loans. It's a little different.
But they have to-
but back then it was more extreme, where people, yeah.
exactly. So, and I felt it was not that easy. On top of it, to understand, now that I understand even more the waiters and the waitresses in Bahrain or the Middle East or anywhere around the world, how hard it is. I mean, being on your foot for like 8 hours and always putting a smile and serving, and you deal with so many people, and then cleaning up and smelling every day.
But the nice thing is it finishes quick, especially when it's hectic.
Yes. The good thing is, what is a good thing is that, we always, there's food we take home, and I don't have to cook. And I don't have to spend. And
Absolutely.
that was good. But then you know what? I hated Chinese sourced food after that.
Really?
Because every day you're in the Chinese restaurant.
So make friends with your neighbor. Go to each neighbor, knock on door, and be like, hey, you know what? I work at a Chinese restaurant. Here's some fresh food.
I did that. My brothers were excited. They were like, oh, there's food.
There we go.
There we go. But I was like, ugh, I couldn't do it.
So what made you return then to Bahrain?
Parents.
Okay.
I actually wanted to stay longer to do my PhD.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, my dad figured out my trick. Well, not my
plan.
My plan. So yeah, you want to do PhD? Come back.
And
come here and then do your PhD from long distance.
And how, in hindsight, do you regret coming back to?
I did, because
it's not too late.
not now. Even if people ask me, would you live in London? I was like, no, not with my kids, not with that. No, not this. I mean, I know my.
It's not too late to do your PhD.
No, nothing. Even if I can get a great job, but it's just, even my friends in London, they want to leave London. They want to live in Dubai. They want to live here in Middle East. And one of my friends, she said something interesting on the phone. She says, Basma, it's not the same. And back in our days, what she was saying, it was safe. It's not safe anymore. Not how it is today. It's so, she's freaking out.
There's some truth to that.
She's right. And I was like, back in our time, it was the things we did. If we do that now, oh my goodness, I don't know what's going to happen.
No, I totally hear where you're coming from. I have an apartment in London, so I'm always back and forth all the time. And I love London, but it's
not the same.
It's very different.
It's even more, and it's going to change even more.
I don't think it's moving to a positive direction
No.
at the moment. There's so much wrong currently with the UK, from a nanny state, the idiotic political decisions of exiting the EU, like all these things, and then the sociological issues that they have there.
Yeah.
It's all like it's stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks, right?
The vegan thing, I don't know what they did. Put a paint on a landmark or something. I was like,
tearing down statues.
I was like, why would you destroy your history? That's a landmark.
Your heritage, yeah.
Yeah, that's your heritage. You're destroying it. And if that's gone, when what was it? That thing that happened in the Notre Dame that collapsed? People cried, wept, because that's
that was from the 14th century. You're talking about not Nostradamus. It was the Church of Notre Dame.
Yes. So, I mean, and you're watching someone is destroying. And
that happened because of a cigarette.
Huh?
That happened because of a cigarette.
Because it happened of a cigarette. Oh, in the church thing. Oh, wow. See.
It was one employee from a firm.
Oh.
He was working on the tiles of the roof, and he was having a cigarette on the roof. And he just threw it down, and that's how the whole fire happened.
Can you imagine? And imagine that they're putting those paint, and I was like thinking, for what? For being rights for animal, and I don't know what. I was like, well, whatever your beliefs is fine, but don't destroy your own. You're destroying your own country.
So there was a case recently where a butcher was cutting meat in front of the window. And this is just how it's done as a practice, right? So you get to see fresh meat, right? And these vegans were super upset by it, and they protested. and he just kept doing his job of cutting meat. He didn't care. He called the police saying, hey, you know what? These people are outside loitering, disturbing the peace. Can you remove them? And the police actually arrested him for acts of aggression. They said because he was cutting meat in front of these vegans, it was an act of aggression onto that partying group.
Well,
but this is what happens when you live in a nanny state, though. This is what happens when
that's too much.
Yeah.
Well, with Piers
Morgan.
Yeah. So, which is funny, he made a great point, and he says, "You guys, vegan, are being an activist and all of that, and you talk about vegetables and all. Well, what about bees? What about those? If you care so much, those bees, because they die, and the way you're doing. And what about the plane is being flown across the Atlantic to, serve you guys your avocados and stuff like that. You're okay with that? That's, the whole pollution and all of that,
tomatoes from Spain
gets killed by, which the pollution can kill the animals and which is flying bys and all of that. That's okay for you? I mean, if you want to, he's right. I mean, if you want to
I agree with that.
If you want to go all the way and just make it a protest about it, or you're activist about it, then do it right. Go live in a jungle. That's what I would say.
What's really interesting about veganism is that a lot of them have this misperception in that so much of the vegetation is edible, but when you really go out in nature, edible vegetation for human beings is less than 1.5 or 1.8% of all the vegetables, of all the greenery, of all the plants on the planet. Only about 1.5 is edible to human beings. But
yeah, because you know what? Because what they're trying to do is like divert people, okay, which is something new, making fake meat as they want to do. Why? Something that has been experiment in the lab. And I remember one friend of mine said that, would you eat that? I was like, I don't know what they're doing. Well, you wouldn't know what they're doing even with the the actual meat, what kind of hormones of it. I said, true, but that will be maybe few percent, okay? But that's 100%. I do not know. It's completely completely experiment. But also, why they want us to go direct to there? I think for me, it's a circle of life, right? It is a circle of life. Because if there's too many, I'm sure a lot of people watch the Bee movie.
Sure.
Watch the Bee movie. When the bee was trying to be activist about stop giving the honey and everything, right?
Sure.
The honey belongs to the bee. What happened to the flowers?
Sure. They don't get pollinated. I agree.
What happens to that when they stop giving? So that's why this circle of life has to keep on going.
I think it's...
You think you're doing better, but they're gonna do more damages.
I agree with you. It seems science is notoriously bad, and science at the moment is worse than ever, specifically from the point of how much funding they get from external sources. So a lot of studies you can't even trust them, the validity and the duplicity of the study, right? So this adding on to a larger part of the discussion on how many studies are coming out about veganism and plant-based meats, especially when it comes to dietary study, which is infamously famous for being almost impossible to track, because there's only been, I think, 4 great dietitian studies, most of them surrounded around the military, because that was the only way you could actually control people in a controlled environment. You literally have to take them away from their home and put them into a clean environment, a sterilized environment. That's the only way you'd ever be able to test it.
That's why I'm moving to a nice farm.
But sure, I mean, that has its own animals. That has its own issues. But what I'm trying to say here is that I find it very difficult to trust recent studies, especially dietary studies, when it comes to these plant-based burgers, when it comes to a lot of these mass-produced foods. And when people come up, like you mentioned, saying like, hey, that animal had hormones or this or this or this. It's like, yeah, but it also depends on where you're buying that source from.
Exactly.
Right? If you're going to a supermarket.
Yes, thank you. That's
very likely. Yes. If you're going to the market,
But if I'm getting it from something from the experiment lab, I know exactly what it's coming from, you know?
Sure.
So yes, you made a very good point over there. That's exactly what I was trying to say, but you said it. Okay, great. That's what I wanted to say. But yeah, but you know, it's also, you know, all food does have, sleep, food, all has effect, even with psoriasis, I mean, skin problems. I have a psoriasis. I had psoriasis since I was 6 months baby.
Have you checked if your diet changes based on how the outbreak of the condition?
Every time I change my food, it gets better.
Have you tried doing only meats and fruits?
So when I did, I did food intolerance test, and it said that gluten, yeast for me, and red meat, and what else? And wait, gluten, yeast, and red meat was no.
Interesting.
When I actually stopped all of that, those particular ones, which is very hard, by the way. Oh, and dairy. So dairy was easy. Red meat was easy. How am I gonna stop? Gluten is quite hard at times. But when I one time did completely stop, and my psoriasis went completely gone.
Because psoriasis is a
like a deadly thing.
It's a
skin condition.
No, it's a skin condition, but it's an autoimmune disease, if I'm not mistaken, and it has to do with a specific marker of inflammation that is the causation of it. So, have you tried eating lots of blueberries and blackberries?
Well,
high antitoxins.
Yes, we do eat that, but also you have to take away.
No. Of course. I mean, taking away is the first step. The second step is adding stuff in your diet to lower inflammation markers.
So I've been, and on top of it, of course, other than the food, there's also the products.
Sure.
Because I was buying products like that doesn't have any like, of course every product has some sort of chemical, but not to that extent, you know, like has smell or too much of processed, yes. So that's also helped. One of the was my favorite actually in Bahrain, which is fantastic to know. It's Bahraini based, is the Peninsula, the goat soap.
Milk. Yeah,
the goat soap. Loved it. I still love it.
This is one of the things that GCSE is really behind on, and that's non-GMO organic food is not accessible, A, and B, it's extremely expensive. So your only real supermarket here in Bahrain is Al Usra, I think, is the only one that serves it. It's so expensive. And that's the only viable option. If you don't want meat that's like been poisoned in Argentina, you want grass-fed meat, that's the only place to get it from. And that really sucks. And you're talking about like I want to say like half a kilo, like 220 BD.
Too much.
But that's my point, right?
And if you want to do that lifestyle, it's quite expensive. So.
But that's the price of being healthy, right?
Yes. That's the price of it. That's why I told my husband, that's it. I'm gonna retire. We're gonna move to a nice farm with the beach and a boat, and I'll have a monkey. Okay. Yeah, I know. Everyone asks me, why the monkey?
Okay.
I need a monkey.
Like Dr. Giraud?
No, I need a monkey because if I need to, if something is up in the, on the tree, I can't pick it.
Okay.
Here, monkey, please, can you go, get me the coconut? Because coconut can hit on your head and you can die. Monkey can get it for you that easily in 2 seconds.
Okay. You'd have to train them, though.
They will be trained.
Who? How do you find a monkey trainer these days?
I'll get a trained monkey, nice, good monkey.
We're not living in the 1800 anymore. That doesn't happen.
I know, but it's a dreamland that I'm going through.
What?
And a boat, and maybe some I love Thailand, have massage every day, what is my agenda? Fish and eat and sleep and yoga.
You're going to be so bored out of your mind.
Oh, I was thinking also teaching some, Thai, unfortunate English would be nice. Teacher, something, I don't know.
It'd be so boring. So boring.
It's Thailand. There's always walking street. There.
Doing what?
It's walking street.
Yeah, but doing what? Just looking around?
It's walking street. I love walking street. So much
You're
fun.
not convincing me at this at all. You're not convincing me at this at all.
Pattaya is the place,
You're not convincing me at all. But I mean, why don't you like start looking in Saudi Arabia, you and your husband, or Dubai?
Oh no, 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 no.
Fine, Dubai, cut it out. Abu Dhabi.
No.
Fine, cut out Abu Dhabi. Riyadh, Dammam, Khuba.
I have to research and know what you know. I mean, I love the beach. I need beach. I need to have my house by the beach.
So, okay, suffer it through it for 5 years, and then everything will be okay.
I don't mind living in Saudi Arabia as well, but you know, I need it's too quiet. I need nightlife as well. Like Thailand, okay, there's quiet, and then there's the nightlife.
Okay.
The night does not end in sleep, you know.
Okay.
So every time I get, you know, it's like watching
short-term sacrifice for long-term success.
Have you watched the movie? What is it called? What's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio, The Beach. Yeah, Beach.
Oh, what? You mean the one where he gets his teeth pulled out?
No, was it his teeth? No. He was in an island in Thailand
where they were selling drugs on that island, and then they only allow a certain amount of like people living there. It's called like Paradise Island or something like that. Yeah, the
Paradise. But you know, every time, well, if they don't want, I would have nice island, but not an island like that. Every time I go have a nice boat, go to the other side of the world, have fun, and come back.
On what kind of a budget?
Hey, you can go live in Thailand with 20,000, live like a king there.
But it's Thailand.
I know, I'm living in a different world of La La Land, I guess.
No, I mean, you can have it. I'm not going to take it away from you. I just feel like you're going to be bored out of your mind. I truly believe.
I would love to travel, of course. Traveling would be nice. With the husband, it would be nice to travel. I'm counting.
Maybe your husband is different, but from what I know from men, is they all do something in order to not have to do something.
Oh, he wants to work.
No, in the sense of like if they have to fix the chair in order to sit in the chair to not have to do anything, right? Everything they do is for the end point of not having to do anything. Nothing is to do it just for, I'm bored. Yeah. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. Maybe.
Men are happy like just خلاص. I did that. Now I can sit here and I relax.
Yes, that's it. That's pretty much it. Well, I wanted to relax.
See, do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Until the relaxing thing becomes the only thing, then there's mashakil, then there's stress, and they start cleaning things, and they're bored.
Oh God, I mean, trust me that when people ask me what's my schedule, my daily schedule is quite hectic because we wake up early in the morning. Our kids, school, we're with them. We go to work. And then we come back. And then we'd have to drive around, pretty much where their activities are. We have to organize our schedules. And weekends, people think weekends fun. I was like, no, we don't have weekends as a parent. Because we've got to, weekends, or they have birthday party, or if they have I don't know what, or go to family obligation, which is, gathering. There isn't a day I can just say, I just want to do nothing. Or even if you take off from work, I was like, oh, that would be great. If I take off from work, I would not be here. I'll be traveling.
Interesting.
Because even if I take off from work, because they know you're here, your family, then you still have to do things that you don't want to do. You just want to stay at home, do nothing. As you said.
Just say you're sick.
Just do nothing.
Just say you're sick. Khalas.
Oh, then that's another problem.
Say, oh, nobody wants to come near you if you have diarrhea. Just say, oh, batni, oh, khalas. No one comes at you. Khalas. No one wants to hang out with you.
Oh, that would be great. Oh. No, it doesn't work. You think, not in my family.
No, definitely in my family. No one wants to hang out with you if you've got stomach issues.
They would come and say, what, and they would bring you soup and I don't know what. They start asking. I'm like, God, and then don't forget, I've got kids, so they're not gonna leave you alone. Well,
they leave you alone till what school finishes? 3?
Can I just have it for days? I would love it.
Can you is grandma and grandpa still alive? Can you just send them to Amik?
When school started, my daughter was giving me this little fussy, all of that, and I was like, and I told the schools, you know what? I'm so happy tomorrow she's going to be your problem, not mine, for the next 9 months.
You know what? I'm on the opinion of homeschooling my kids.
Okay.
I don't believe in institutional education.
I can understand.
And
I was looking into it as well, a homeschool. But my kids go to Nadine school. Nadine is fantastic, fabulous school.
sure, but there's plenty of retired teachers, who
That we have a thought of that, but for later, we're thinking. But I mean, we're looking into it.
it's a lot cheaper.
Not really.
Really?
No, I actually did the calculation. It's still not going to be a lot. You're going to save like 1,000 or 2, but
Okay.
it's still not going to be cheap. Especially
That's
my
10K.
son goes.
That's 10,000 over 10 years.
I know, but my son goes to karting. He's a racer.
Sure.
That's costing
Petrol's
us a lot.
cheap. Tires are cheap.
For no.
The
Not
track.
for the racing, not really. I have to spend per month amount 300 to 400 whatever for the
Okay.
team, and on
For the
top-
team?
Yeah,
What?
'cause he
Just
is-
to be a member or what?
No, he has to be. Well, there's a team, right?
Okay.
That they and his car is there. They take their mechanics. They pay. It's everything.
Okay.
The petrol that they put for it. They take care of. And the garage for it. And yes, and then of course when he's racing, that's another cost. I have to spend, and every time his tires have to spend on his tires, and he gets older, it's going to get more expensive. Karting is the most. They kept on saying racing F1 is it's what they call it, rich man's sport.
Really?
It's very expensive.
Because I would imagine the card is cheap. You can order it from
No.
Alibaba.
Oh no, you can't just do that. You have to make sure the car, the engine, it is.
The
passed by
best
road
way to
tax.
learn is to crash. So get on it.
He crashed, and I was like, and he came up to me, I was like, why? And my son's like, Mommy, it's a mistake. I was like, I know, but I gotta pay for it. I gotta pay for that mistake. No, it's expensive. And then on top of it, when he has to travel to race, if he wants to, let's say if we're gonna do a couple of weeks in London or England, I have to get another car. I can't shift that car there.
Why?
Oh, you can't shift that car.
How big is this car? It's just a go-kart, no?
I know, but it has to be the car and their engine has passed their inspection, because if you're racing there,
Can't you just rent one from there?
it will be. Now the coach was talking to us, and I had those discussions. He says you can rent, but it's better to buy, because then when you're done you can sell it, so it won't cost. It will be.
Yeah,
not
but you
as
have to wait
expensive
till you
as-
find some idiot who wants to buy it.
There will be a lot of people who's going to buy it.
You think so?
Yeah, because there's a lot of race. There's a lot of.
Listen, I've had 50 people on the show. I have never heard of anyone who has a son who's a racer. This is the first experience I'm having this conversation, so I'm completely ignorant on this. You're telling me this like this is like the day to day.
Yes.
We're not equals in this conversation. I am like looking at you
I'm
going like
surprised you don't know. In Saudi is a big thing. There's a lot of kids.
فحط بالجنب المدرسة اوكي بس مش ذا مع الجو كارت.
You've got Praga in Praga is it called, in Saudis as
Okay.
well. There's other teams as well in UAE.
Look that up, Dan or Akash. Lou, look that up, Lou. Go-kart racing, Saudi Arabia. I mean, there's like 24-hour racing. There's all kinds of like different racing, and there's motorcycle racing too. Would that be potentially?
I told him he can do anything except motorcycle.
Really?
Anything except he knows me. He hates now motorcycle, and
Wait till he becomes a teenager.
I know he said motorcycle many times, and I said to him, Mommy, do anything except the motorbikes.
That's definitely the one he's gonna choose.
I know.
100%.
I'm worried about the motorbike
100%.
because I told him why it's motorcycle. That's it. One mistake. That's it.
That's not true. They crash all the time and they're okay. They crash all the
I can't do
time.
motorbike. I cannot stand motorbikes. And
Both Michel and Ralph both were motorcycle racers.
we'll talk. We'll see because it freaks me out. But the car and a lot of moms, by the way, they always wondered and asked me, and it's like, are you not scared? Your son is so tiny, and and on the car, and because we got this car on his 7th birthday. He didn't even. He wasn't into it. He was into cars and racing, but
All boys are generally.
yes. But when on his 7th birthday, he didn't know what's, because we like to do something nice for our children. Like I told you, I don't do birthday parties.
Sure.
I do not like birthday parties. And everyone's like, why? It's like, it's
How?
It's headache, it's pain, and they're headache, it's hectic. I don't like running, and for what? You know, I rather do something nice. Or like when his 5th birthday, he talked about he was into superheroes, so we surprised him with a ticket. We went to Abu Dhabi same day on his birthday, which we celebrated, and we had a good 2 weekends of, which he enjoyed. He couldn't believe it. 2 whole weekends, all of us, we had a trip.
Sweet.
7th birthday, we got the car, and there was a nice bow and everything. And he looked at it, I was like, this is your birthday.
How was the process? How did you find the car? Explain it to me. For all the parents out there, we're going to use this as a snippet then.
Okay.
Say their son is, I don't know, 7, 10, whatever, 12, and they're looking to get one of these vehicles. What's the process like?
Well, first...
How did you do it?
Okay, so I contact North Star, the team.
Okay.
I love them as a team, the coach and everything. There was other team as well. There's Praga. Can't say the name. Briel. Briel.
Lou, look this up. Who's North Star? What is this? Sorry, I'm going to assume that the listeners are like me, completely ignorant.
It's North Star, and you have to go on Instagram.
Is the one they found
You gotta go.
It has nothing to do with 3 wise men.
North Star, ST. There you go. That's the one. That's
14.
Yeah.
I like the North Star boys. That's a very different club.
So I've contacted them, and I spoke to who's the founder, Jason, and then I came and then saw the whole atmosphere, got excited, and then he showed how it's cost and everything else, and how about the cars. Of course, you have to buy it from the team itself, because because each one of the teams, their karting is coming. I think they're sponsoring. So, and there you go.
I love the lightning effect on the vehicle.
Yes.
That makes me laugh.
So so I said, okay, I'm interested. I got very excited myself, due to the fact that I love racing. And there you go. There's all kinds of age groups. There's even adult as well in the racing. And with the car and everything else, they've helped me out on what he needs, what he doesn't, spent it, and...
Like directly with them, or did they put you in touch with a different company that sells them?
No. I contact the
North Star.
North Star, the team itself.
And they then gave you a number, or...
No. Everything, the car...
Everything was supplied through them?
Through them.
Okay, that makes sense.
But the helmet and his protectors, his chest protector, everything else, they've showed me a way that I can order from outside would be cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, because...
So great customer service.
Of course. And the coaches are phenomenal. They give their time sitting with your kid and teaching all those things.
So best experience ever.
It's still the best experience ever.
Fantastic. We'll use this as a snippet. You can take it. You can show it to them. You can say, hey, you know what? I've done free marketing for you. I came on a show.
No.
It has 1,000 views, 10,000 views, whatever. And give me a discount. There you go.
No, they've been wonderful. They know that as a mom, I'm such a, an active mom myself. And I do believe, because there's a lot of great... The fact that my son is also surrounded with other boys who are a bit older and stuff, and he likes to be like them or learns from them, and they how they treat him as because he's younger, it's quite nice, because
they bully him. No.
No, they encourage him and
give him beatings.
Oh, for sure. They might teach him that to do it to other kids. But it's fun. It's nice because every kid is in a different team, but even though they're racing on the track, they're competing with each other. But once they're out of that track, I love it that all these kids are still friends. Doesn't matter. They're all good with each other. They still play with each other, and I enjoy it because I connect with so many moms and parents, dads, even my husband, watching our kids watching kids grow from, their time to how fast they're going and how they're competing and winning. It's really nice. It's a very different.
You convinced me. If I have kids, I'll contact them and I'll send them through racing.
I know as a mom, some parents, they get freaked out. They go slower. I was like, how do you feel? I was like, look, as a mom, when I'm watching my son on the track, I'm crossing my arms, on a nerve wreck.
Right. Don't lie. You're like, go faster.
Yeah.
Where's your times happening?
Trust me, I'm doing that. But at the same time, when he comes to, why are you not going faster? Your timer is not, you need to go faster. You must go faster. So imagine I'm actually telling my son to go faster. And they're like, people are laughing. It's like, you're telling, I was like, yeah. I mean, it's his race. It's a sport.
Do they do a lot of drills outside of the racetrack as well?
You mean like he has to do special training?
No, because I was reading an article what Michael and Ralph did for their racing, and they would walk the track, and then while they're walking, do like imagery of where the car would be, how much force they need to go, what gear, how much braking, and they took it. I remember watching an interview. They said they, like, instead of at school, like doing whatever, they would actually draw out the track, and then with their pen circle, and then work right, like at this speed, this corner, at this corner, this much brake, and where that line is, because there's an optimum line as you're in and out of curves.
Yes, they do that because it's the same track. So the Coach Khalifa, would take my son, go walk around the track. Even he was, him being on a cart and my son following him and showing him in every step, as well, drawing up the map. And they have also the GoPro, so they take video while he do it, and then they let him to watch it, and then they explain where he's done right, when he's done wrong, because there are times that he did wrong, and he said, if you do that, that's going to be a penalty, and you don't want to have that in your life, because he has a license. My son has a license. I had to go get him a license.
I'm so happy that you're so proud and shining and glowing.
I enjoy it because to see my boy act like a little,
the apple of your eye. I love it.
No, act like a man. And one time he comes home and he starts talking to me. Hi, mom. He's like, why are you talking? What's wrong with your voice? I'm a man now. I was like, you are a man, but you're still not that man yet. But can you still stay my little boy until let me enjoy you, So he started, but you don't want me to grow? I was like, yes, I do want you to grow up because I want to grow up and get married. I was like, good.
I like how his priorities are so set.
I like the fact that he wants to get married.
Well, he's still young. I don't know if he knows what it means.
He might change his mind.
Maybe he wants to have 4 wives. Maybe.
Oh my God. Oh, if he has the money for it, fine with me. If he can do it, go for it.
You don't think there's going to be a return whip for that? I see it in the UAE. I see it so often.
Why would you want 4 headaches? One is already headache. It's like me asking 4 husbands.
It's not the same.
No, if I have 4
men and women are not the same.
If women actually, if the world was the opposite and women can have 4 husbands.
They can't. They're
just like, let's say the whole
Nepal. There's a culture that women have multiple men, like married to.
Oh my God, it's like pain in the ass.
It's like they're married usually to 3 guys or so because they don't have enough.
One
women.
is enough. Trust me, one is enough. Even in that side.
Because you let them work it out. You let them, like a jama'ah, بالمجلس,
Sure.
you let them work it out and you go do your thing and you come back.
Easy said than to be done.
Well, clearly they're doing it. It's working out well for them. We've done it for 2,000 years. It's been okay.
Well, we should have them in a podcast and ask them, the ones who have 4 wives.
Wallahi أقولك شيء. I was in Dubai and I was doing some recording, like time lapses, because I really enjoy that. I love photography. I love time lapses. And I was sitting somewhere in the corner, the big mall, the Dubai Mall, whatever it's called, Emirati Mall, whatever the big one is. Johnny guy, security guy, وش قاعد تسوي? What are you doing? Sakan, shgal, blah, blah, blah. I said, Sakan, drunk? No, I'm just doing time lapses. He said, show me. He said, okay, well, I like your time lapses. I said, thank you. And then he like out of nowhere, he says, "What are you doing right now?" I said, "Just walking around, maybe go and do some more photography." قال خلاص ليش دخن معي. I said, "Okay." We had a cigarette outside, and he starts telling me about his life story. And within there, he goes,
Yeah, 4 wives.
I've got 4 wives, and it's all working out great. And I've got a fifth one, which is a girlfriend who's Thai. And I look at him and go, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, you know." And if he's happy with it, you know, then there's
They're
clearly
happy with it, I'm guessing.
I guess, right? I mean, there must be some truth to it.
Absolutely. If there's some people.
He's convinced me, honestly. After being with him for 2 hours, he indoctrinated me.
I can't.
He sold me the idea.
I can't do it, and I'm sure my husband knows that. Oh, you know, my husband would not do it. He'll be dead. He'll definitely be dead for that. But yeah, so he likes karting. We go back to karting.
Go try. Bring it back. Try.
Redirect to karting and hoping whatever he wants to do in his life. Well, as a parents, we want to do what's best for our children, right?
Mm-hmm.
We give the best life what we can, and life experience and life learning everything, and then them finding their own. They find something that you never know, something they're passionate to, or something that they like to do in the future, or something they discover themselves. It's always a discovering. You always discover yourself until they grow up and they know what they want to do.
So why do you not send him to like a workshop? Let him work on cars.
Oh no, he does that with my husband.
Oh, he's big into cars as well?
My husband was a mechanic. Right, he studied
Engineering
mechanic, yeah. And my husband he used to did as a summer job.
Sure.
Working when he was coming back from England.
Sure.
In Toyota.
Because the new cars, you can't even open them anymore. Khalas, they're all wrapped in like these plastic wraps. You can't even change a piston. Those days are all gone.
Yeah. So on top of it, the good thing about the karting as well, they teach these boys about mechanic. You know, the car, what's wrong, and you have to, you know. So It's not just. So it's quite nice because he gets excited, learning this things with, and it's also nice because my husband and my son, when they have a car ride going to BIC, that's the bond. They talk, and it's when I hear some of my clients, they call me up and I ask them about, because you know they have some kids with behavioral issues, you know, and I have the thing I ask them, does he have a PlayStation? And of course it's always yes. And how much, there are a lot in PlayStation, and some moms, they say, no, I don't agree with the whole PlayStation, but it creates a bond with my son and my husband. I was like, that's not a bond. That's them playing a game. If that's what you're going to teach, that means that your son's going to grow up, could be conditioned to knowing this is the only way for me to bond with my dad. They're not going to have a real conversation.
So what do you say to all those parents who have 14-year-old sons and who play video games and making more income now than their parents? That's a very hard...
Video games and income's more, I mean...
that's a very hard conversation to have with your child.
I understand, but, you know, I mean, it's like you said, you win some, you lose some. Which one do you want, you know? I'd rather have a connection. I'd rather have a relationship with my kids. I mean, to hell with the money, you know? I mean, you can't just say, oh, for he makes lots of money, but then you're going to lose your son. It's again from person to person, what they want for their child. I can't decide what is right and wrong, right?
Sure.
But it's all like, when your parents, you have to do what you want for your child. No one has the right to say this is right and this is wrong.
Sure, but if you present to me 2 options and say, "Hey, what does your son have a better chance at? Being a professionally paid race driver, or being a professionally paid video gamer?" I would suggest video gamer 9 out of 10 times, right? And it's all fine and dandy to have a functioning relationship, but at the end of the day, if they're hungry, right? Right.
But that also can affect a lot of other things as well, not just.
I don't disagree, but I mean, the way it's structured at the moment and how things are coming about, Bahrain is now opening up their first video game competition. Saudi just had one. We just had a guy on. No, Dan? What was his name?
No,
Muhammad Hilal, who's doing some project right now to start up a local Bahrain video game competition with reward money, and they go to class. They go to schools. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go to schools and universities, and I think the youngest is like 12 or 10 or something like that.
It's again every parent's what they want for their child. But I know the effect of
Video games.
yeah, I mean, I would not even go down that road. I mean, when he grows up, and there's always time for everything.
Wasn't there recently a racer who got caught cheating? Can you type it up, Lou? Racer that got cheating on, like a car racer who was cheating on a video game, and he lost his he lost his license, I think, for unsportsmanship.
Cheated?
Car racer cheats video game.
Cheats.
Audi Formula E loses real ride in cheating. There you go. Can you show me Daniel Apt? I want to see how he looks like. He got fired, I think. Yeah, that's him.
Okay, what did he do?
He cheated on a video game.
Oh, so he cheated on video, so he lost. This doesn't make sense.
Well, I think I don't know the full story about it anymore, but I think it was for a charity that all these race drivers were supposed to play this video game. This was during COVID, I think.
Oh, okay.
And it was meant to be like a donation kind of like event. And yeah, he got caught cheating and he got fired.
How can you cheat on a video game? That's the question I have right now.
Well, he hired, here it right says, he hired a pro video gamer.
Ah. There you go.
Here in Formula E virtual racing event.
Okay.
He says, I didn't take it as serious as I should have. I would have liked to apologize to Formula E, all the fans and my team, my fellow drivers for having called in outside help during the race on Saturday. I didn't take it as serious as I should have, especially sorry about this, because I know how much work it has gone into the project as part of the Formula E organization. So there you go. Mm-hmm. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
He got fined 10,000 euros too.
Oh, wow.
Okay, scroll down a little further. And kicked out of the virtual racing series before Audi released him on Tuesday. Oh, that's all that happened? He didn't lose his license or anything like that? He got suspension from Audi.
Okay.
Here, for this reason, Audi Sports has decided to suspend Daniel Abt with immediate effect. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So you're still not. What's the situation? What's happening now? Are you going to look into the Saudi, or you're not going to look into Saudi?
For the
jobs and stuff like that, they've got Formula One racing and all that in Saudi now. Khalas.
He has to be also eventually going around GCC as well as racing.
Yeah.
Well, not now.
So there you go.
Because it's going to cost me as well. I mean,
hey, you set this all up. I mean, you can't complain. You could have also just put him in karate lessons or jiu-jitsu.
I know. Everyone said that you could have done this. You could have asked, like, yeah, I know. I could have even do a lot of things, but I guess I'm also...
There we go, right?
I'm an expensive mom, maybe. I give so much to my...
Sarah, I mean, you could have put him in jiu-jitsu or boxing. There you go.
I know. And I could travel and enjoy. But, you know, I'm a mom. I like to give for my children what I can, you know, whatever I can. The same way as my parents gave us what they can do the best to give us. Mm-hmm. The same thing. We're doing the same thing for, you know, your children are your investment.
My childhood, like I said, was very different. It was Discovery Channel and Science Channel. They didn't even have Science Channel at the time. It was Discovery Channel and History Network, and that was it. That was the only two channels allowed, and that's what I just consumed on a daily basis.
No, it like I said, it's a very I enjoy it. I like it's also fun for me and my husband, you know, and my daughter, all of us as a family. And it's different. and my daughter's also wants to be on a horse riding, so that's going to be also another ad eventually soon.
Oh my God.
Activity that we have to run around, busy schedule that me and my husband, we have. Because other than working, I also study. I'm always studying.
You don't want to do your doctorate?
I was doing my PhD and then I put it on hold.
70% of PhD students never finish their PhD.
Yeah, because I realized that because there's I want to do there are some things out there as for masters or postgraduate that I need to have that I have interest, because PhD is 4 years, right? It's just a research.
Sure.
So I can do also research, just not without the PhD.
You don't need to finish it. You can finish your PhD in under 2 years.
And not for education. Yeah, it's a lot of work as well.
Because I knew a guy who had like multiple doctorates, and he did them like.
I don't know. Yeah, does he have kids?
Yeah.
He's a male. It's a man's world.
I don't know what. It always comes back to it. He's
not running around to BIC and dropping their kids and doing all of that.
I don't know. He has a doctorate in mathematics, one in physics, and another in another field. I don't remember.
Oh God, I'm already exhausted with studying for exams and I don't know what. I'm so tired.
Is there an exam for masters?
No, in the other for boards license and stuff.
Oh, okay, that's a different subject.
So one of the things right now I'm doing as well is the baby sleep consultancy that I'm studying, and I am planning as well to do a post graduate with Dr. Robert Milello. It's about he's very famous. He has a very famous in States, of course. He's everywhere in state. He has a famous book called Disconnected Kids, and he's it's about childhood neurology disorder. So I'm very passionate about knowing.
What's the book called?
Disconnected Kids.
Can you look it up, Lou? Disconnected Kids, so I know what to read next.
Oh, it'll blow your mind away.
I doubt it.
So that's the famous, yeah.
All right, I'll read it.
So
it's only 235 pages. That's nothing.
Yeah, but then he has another one called Reconnected Kids. So after you read the first one, you read the second one. But yes, doing his postgraduate would be, which I'm planning to do with him. And then of course, when you finish that, you have to do your board exam.
Okay.
So all of that, you have to have a license. You have to be certified.
No, okay.
That's how it is in States, right? Even with the baby consultancy, so we're doing this, you have to have a certification. You have to be certified.
But at the moment, you don't own your own practice, right?
Yes. No, we don't call practice. I own
your own facility.
Yes, I own a daycare.
Okay.
As well, and it's right next to Anwar. I just opened it in last year September.
MashaAllah.
And I have a small like I can't say it's a center. It's like a service. It's gonna be something different. I don't want to say so much about it because it's still
in the process of happening.
Yeah, it was a small center like that, but now I'm trying to change the whole dynamic of that business, which is also ABA therapy. It's ABA therapies as well.
Okay.
Providing services for families and schools.
Oh, okay, and that's disjointed from what you're.
It's the same.
It's the same. It would still operate in the same space.
Yes, ABA, which is ABA, behavioral therapy.
Sure.
So not gonna say so much because it's still on the process.
I understand.
So it's we're just providing. It's a services to provide therapy, which is able to provide for parents, schools. That's all I can say. Can't say more about it because
we'll have you on again in the future, and you can talk about how the structure is working. But it's going to be in the same building, in the same vicinity.
No, not. It's different building.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Okay. The daycare's there, but
that's why I was confused. I was like, how big is this daycare? How are you going to segment it like that?
Oh no, the daycare's there, but the place is also right next to the daycare as well.
Okay.
It's very close. It's like 1 minute, less than a minute away by car.
Okay, these are some interesting questions I want to get in with you in the next few minutes.
It's called Brilliant Achievement Services.
How do you find staff? How difficult is that for you?
Yeah, it's always hard to find the right person. I always liked, because sometimes you have people, they want to work, but then they have, like act, oh, I don't want to do this, or they wear too many, bangles or stuff. I'm like, hey, or I can't, this child, I can't do potty training.
Yeah.
Or wash his poop or whatever. I was like, but you're not washing your poop, you're training him.
Sure.
That's the whole point, is we have to teach.
Sure.
So if a person wants to do this job, they have to know you're in and out. You have to go that low. It is a job, I know there's, again, we go back to qualifications. How hard to find someone who's into this and it's a very, very demanding and hard-working job.
Okay.
It's not that easy. It's like being a nurse.
Sure.
In a way.
Sure.
Can't say that.
Sure.
Or being a teacher.
Sure.
And if people, one of the thing that my friend said in Abu Dhabi, she was saying to me that, sometimes I have people like, they want more salaries.
Okay.
And she says, I can't give you more salaries. I was like, yes. If you're thinking of coming to this kind of work field.
For the money. You're in the wrong industry.
Yes. It's like being it's like teacher's job.
Okay.
It is not like, if you want that kind of life or more and position and all that, go to banking or all of that stuff,
And how do you find your stuff though? Do you find them? Are you managing to find any? I can find it very hard to believe that you're finding anyone locally. Honestly.
Well, it's fine. I did find a lot of great locals actually. Bahraini.
Forget Bahrainis, just expats. Even here, like currently.
It's hard to. Yes, it is hard to find that. Because even expat, I get a lot of CVs.
Sure.
Lots of CVs.
Really?
And I look into it, but.
What's the base salary, if you don't mind me asking?
Basic salary?
Yeah.
Well, it starts by like 300 and all the way up.
Okay.
So it depends
on
your experience and what you
I don't know what the industry is. Normal payouts are. It could.
So, for example, if a person comes up to me, she's 30 or 35, and we're not discriminating, but let's say is a little overweight.
It's going to be hard to.
It's going to be hard because you got to catch them. If this child is running and bolting, you got to catch them. You can't just be going slow and everything. This is not an easy job. Yeah. Or if a child is kicking you would get slapped, kicked, beaten, everything you can ever imagine. I remember I was helping. I was supervising a supervisee. So. Taking my data of how she's implementing her behavior, her therapy with this child. And she got upset when I came before I do the supervision, and she said, I heard you got slapped by this, we're talking about severe autistic child. And she was very upset. She was like, I've never had anyone slap me in my life, I've not even my dad slapped me. I was like, well, welcome to the club. We all got slapped by them. We got slapped, we got bitten, we got kicked, we got anything in the goddamn book you can ever imagine. But what do you expect? We're talking about severe autistic child. If you don't want to do this kind of job, you didn't like it, then this is not a job for you.
Yeah.
You might as well leave.
So then we come back to the basic question: how do you find?
It's very hard. Because a lot of people it's like a lot of people don't want to.
So you still have a position open at the moment?
Some people, they do say, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. But once they are in it, and I realize they're not, they're not accountable.
So who's the job for then? Who would be the perfect employee?
I can.
Who would be the perfect partner? Let's go.
You have to be fun, you have to be active, creative, energetic, and wanting, passionate, wanting to, to help. You want to help children.
I'm trying to do the setup for you, so you can use this clip then to promote it. I'm trying to help you out.
No, but it's true. I think you have to do. I found so many people are really passionate about this and really wanting to do this.
Well, look at here. For my own production, trying to find Dan here took ages. took ages and ages and ages.
Yeah. Because
Right?
everyone wants to get a job. You're right. But again, working in this kind of field when it's dealing with children, it's not easy. And you got also, I have to make sure also they're, they're not,
Messing around,
like they're not going to be,
abusive.
yes, those are very important to know. But of course,
Words that you don't want to say. Let the devil's I'll play the devil's advocate. I'll say them. How about that?
that's fine. But again, as a supervisor, of course, we have to make sure we
Clean
teach,
records,
and
of course.
we have to teach, and we have to make sure to be competent enough. We can't just say, we do performance test on supervisees, to make sure. But we do we do role play module feedbacks, follow up to make sure that they're able.
Do you get any kind of government support? Because this is, you should be, to be fair.
Nobody is.
You're not even applying with Timkeen?
No.
You don't think there's a potential for it? You're a business.
Such a very hard, because the things that it's
They'll cover rent at least.
that will, yes, few things, yes, but not every. But again, we're talking about, imagine a kid, parents can afford some. We're not cheap as well.
Sure, but I'm trying to present you some solutions in order to help the finances work, right? You can get support on the rent. If you're hiring local, you can get
Yes.
some discounts on salary.
That's why we're trying to get more. That's why I do want to have more locals.
Okay.
And people are like, really? It's like, yes, I'd rather have more local, young, active, local.
Be careful, because Dan will find that racist.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because in the end of the day, I want to, for locals to get interested might be interested.
You have to eat as well.
No,
From your...
I want them to be interested, because eventually some of them might like it. They might want to study this and they will be the next generation. Because I'm 40 again, in a 10, 20 years, I'm going to retire.
Well, how much do nurses get? Like base salary here in Bahrain? I don't know. I'm not working in the medical industry.
I'm not sure.
Because I would imagine
I'm sure
that...
like 300-400, like that same.
Because
Not more than 5, I guess.
because that would be my hiring pool. If I was in your position, I'd be knocking out, looking where these recruiters are getting these nurses from. Maybe nurses who are tired and they don't want to deal with like sick patients on a night shift. Those might be potential staff that I would try
But you
to
have to be active.
poach.
You have to understand you have to be active.
I'm not saying you take a passive
Because
decision.
I've got some people, if you have a back pain, you have a back problem or something, that you can't do this job because even when I'm asking, other than being fun and active, can you carry 15 kg?
Well, no, come on. I'm saying no, come on. Of course nurses have to do that, no? Nurses have to be able to wash people, clean their bedpan, hold them up as they're moving them to a different
easy.
bed.
Yeah, so that's easy, right? Because
Sure.
they're just lying. But working with a child, let's say running off or hitting or breaking things, and you got to stop all of that,
No, come on. Nurses have to deal with patients all the time who have like spasms and stuff, and they might get hit in the chin and stuff.
Oh, goodness. If there's a nurse out there, would be great.
I'm presenting you a potential pool.
I'm saying if there is, would be great. If there's someone out there, they don't want to do any, some people, they do quit their job in states that I know. They quit becoming an ABA therapist for a while to be a teacher for a lower salary, so they have more time for their children. That'd be great.
I hear you. But again, if I was in your shoes right now, I would be hitting up those recruiters. I would find out these nurses who are working night shifts, who don't want to work night shifts. And that is your prime hiring pool, right?
Yeah.
That would be my strategy, what I would present to you.
If they wanted to come, yes.
And then on the other flip side, from your more wealthier patrons, let's call them that, I would look at them to do like sponsored events and stuff like that. You don't think there's any market for that?
No, there is would be markets, because even when they come, because I've just hired a girl, and again, I had to tell, these are a lot of things, because once they get hired, I tell them, are you okay cutting your nails? Because some of them have a little bit. So you have to cut your nails. Has to be this short, You can't wear jewelries. I mean, even I don't wear this necklace. So no jewelries, just very tiny, anything tiny. And or if you're wearing one necklace that you're okay with, but even that one necklace, you have, when you're working, you have to put it under your shirt because
whatever.
you don't want to, it could harm a child,
Or they can grab it off you.
Oh, they can grab it off you. Even the nails can harm because by scratch. You cannot wear, of course there's this terms and conditions that you can't wear too bright colors. Colorful's fine, but when it's like, let's say flash green, because you're dealing with that. Perfumes, 1-2 spray, but not like you're
this is what I'm saying. Khalas, go to these nurses. They have all this training. Where are we even having this conversation? They're right there. I don't know what their base salary is, but I mean, I'm sure they're willing to take somewhat of a cut of their salary if they get to work days instead of nights.
Fine. I would be happy. They want to be, by all means, I would be happy to have.
100%. Because they have to wash people. They have to change bedpans. They must go through this whole thing.
I'm sure. And I'm sure they wouldn't mind doing this. And for them, I'm guessing this could be much easier.
That's what I'm saying. I think what the failure on this perspective is that there's a lack of reach out, being active in that sense.
And if the girl's wearing hijab, and I don't mind hijab, but even the hijab that if they're wearing, I always tell them, like, try to wear hijab that is very like a sport way, or try it like maybe like a hat, or because they will pull.
I get you. Dan, where are most of the nurses here in Bahrain? Where are they from?
That's the thing.
There you go. So you don't even have to worry about the hijab.
And
so even easier.
That's easy. Then there's the only problem with I love when Indians they come, but once they ask them about transportation, none of them they have a transportation, and that's the problem that I'm trying to figure it out.
So then I don't know, rent, get like a second near it, and then sublet it to them.
Sure.
It's easy.
Hey, fee process, fee.
This is how I do it with my factory.
I know.
It's,
So we're planning. I'm planning some few things here. I already have a couple of Indians and from
Bangladeshis and
Filipinos
and
yes.
Expats. Yeah,
we do.
This is the only way to do it.
But I want all I actually want all kinds of people. And I love young Bahrainis because they're so they're 21. They want to save the world. They always have that feeling, and because they want to help, and they are so active and energetic, and they love the children. Of course, they love the children now because they don't have kids yet.
It's nice when it's 5 and you can give it up.
And plus I'm hoping that they get interested, because I had already found some of them they love it and they want to study ABA, their masters.
Okay.
Or some of them love it but they don't want to do ABA, but they want to go to psychology field.
Okay, we're diverging here of the conversation a little bit because I'm interested in from the sector of your business. We've closed up labor, fine. You've got the video, use it, promote it, do whatever you need to. You'll find some contacts, right?
Hopefully.
Definitely. Just head them up. How many kids are we talking about on a daily basis on average, and what kind of numbers would you like to hit on?
Like how many clients I would like to have?
Yeah.
Well, hoping 50.
50 in a month, in a day, and what scope are we talking about?
In a month.
And how many kids do you work with every hour?
So as a supervisor.
Your firm.
Yes. So hoping with someone else, we're partner something. Okay. So supervise? So let's say we have shadows.
Sure.
So some kids they can be in the school, but they need to have a shadow teacher.
Sure.
And that's where we get the shadow teacher, and they're with the child in the school. We provide, we make sure we provide the programs, the plans. We train the shadows, which there are shadows, and they're doing, pretty much following up with the baseline, which is we do everything. Everything we do is by data. We collect data. Because measure data is so easy to be read and see how how the child's progressing. If there's a problem, if the data, let's say if the data goes down, we know something's wrong, we need to fix something, what's happened here. It's not about the child, it's all about us, what we need to do to make, to have improvements on this child.
Interesting.
So, so as a supervisor, I would be going like right now, I have to go from school to supervise, to do follow up with every shadows.
Okay.
And along with it, train the shadows and provide the program plans.
But the shadows are from your firm, though?
Yes.
Okay. And so how many shadows do you currently have?
Right now, oh God, I have to count. 1 second.
Drum roll.
6.
So they're working 6 with 6 full-time kids, right?
Yeah. And then there's, and then I do have other kids that I
But
work
they're
with.
not to that level.
They don't need shadows, yeah.
And ideally, you would like what your split to be. So with 50 clients, 50 kids,
Yeah.
what would the split be like? Would you like to have about 10, 15 shadows?
Maybe 20.
Or 20? Okay, that's a high number. That's a lot of micromanaging. Okay.
Probably 15 to 20, yes.
Okay. And so for the remaining 30, 60%,
Yeah. They would do it. There's a lot of one-on-one.
ADHD,
Yeah, ADHD.
ADHD, and then there's dyslexia, dysnuria, I think is another
So
one.
many, yeah. So you mean the learning difficulties.
Yeah.
So there's so we wanted, I'm going one by one to set up everything that I wanted to do.
I find like dyslexic is probably the easiest to work with, I'd imagine.
Oh, well, if they have difficulty and they're getting aggressive, they can't do something that is getting it always wrong. You know what I mean?
But
You would start getting, you would get a behavior rather than them saying, I need a break or I can't do it, rather than using their functional communication.
dyslexia is just not being able to read or write properly.
Yeah, but imagine if they cannot read and write.
Sure.
Some of them not necessarily behavior, some of them just don't do they will sit in the task, but they're not doing the work.
Okay.
And then if they're not, achieving as well,
Because I've been diagnosed as dyslexic, and I just found ways to work around it. I just memorized, for example, words.
Yeah, but today's
That's it.
schools are so demanding. Not demanding, it's just so much expectation. It's a lot of expectation, and kids can't. And there's a lot of kids can't. They're not even ready for it, or they didn't have the right. Been taught.
I guess. Okay.
So let's say I had this child, just a regular kid,
Have me on with the dyslexic kids. Don't worry. I'll tell them all the
Yeah.
secrets.
So he's this.
I'll tell them all the secrets.
So
High school, don't worry, kids. University doesn't matter.
School kicked him out, and he was only grade 1, grade 2 level.
Don't need it.
Yeah, but he got kicked out. But then parents are struggling. They take him from one place to another, and he's right now. Even when he went to grade 2. He was so behind because no one has given the proper attention to him, because they could, dyslexic, because nobody gave their time just to teach them ways so they can able to find a way to teach, to write or read, however it's supposed to be.
It's not that hard. I mean,
You've got 25 kids on the class to teach.
Sure.
And how are you going to give that much attention for every kid?
We're going back to my time, which was the 2000s. And I just found a free software back in the day that did dictation. And that's how I did a lot of my homework back when I was in GCSE. We're going way back. This is not as fancy as we have today. There was no phones and stuff like that.
No.
I just looked it up and hey, you know what? I figured it out.
Well, there's also bad parenting.
Well, that's the cards you dealt.
As a parent, it's like
Those are the cards you dealt. I don't know.
But also, I can't even also blame. Who should I say? Is it the parenting, the parents? Is it the schools? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes there are teachers. I can say there are fabulous teachers, right? They will do that extra mile, okay? Because you're a teacher for a reason, right? But there are teachers, no. They won't do that. They just don't.
They're there to put the clock in.
And there could be also one of the reasons for the child to be kicked out, which happened to me last year. And I tried with one teacher explaining, and I've even showed her, but she had that big, wall, not wanting to do it. And we're talking about a 3.5 years old child, and I was.
How much teaching are they doing to the 3.5-year-old
I
child?
know, and he had like some tantrums and stuff, and I gave some behavior plan, and I tried, and I was
So he has ADHD. So sorry, he has
There's
dyslexia
nothing,
and something else. Then.
no, we can't say it. He's 3.5.
Okay.
We're just talking about 3. We're just talking about behavior,
Okay.
tantrums.
Okay.
And they kept on saying, "Oh, he's difficult. Oh, he does this. Or I don't know what." I was like, "Oh, he doesn't do. Oh, he cannot generalize." I was like, "Well, yes, he can. I've seen it because it's. Why is it just with you? Because then the child knows that, he learned behavior that when I cry and stuff, when I tantrum, they call my mom, they pick me up, and I go home, and that's what he wants to do, go home. But when he comes to me or comes to my nursery, we have no behaviors. And sometimes kids, and by the way, kids know.
No,
when
I
you don't
agree.
like them.
I agree.
So he might not have the language to say, "I don't like this teacher."
No, they're instinctually a lot smarter than adults.
Yes.
And they're very trusting on their gut, which a lot of people don't.
Absolutely. So
use.
this year, for example, this child is in a different school. I think such a wonderful teacher, and we have amazing. It's been great.
ممتاز. خلاص.
But then that's the thing. It takes one teacher can cost a child's life. They don't want to do that extra mile. Some teachers are fantastic. I can tell you there's some teachers are phenomenal. I wish there was more of them, cloned them. And some of the people, they become a teacher for a reason, right? And some of those teachers, they become a teacher because it's an easy way to travel the world. That's it. They don't want. They're not doing it because they want to help kids.
So you bring up a really interesting point, because I had this conversation a little while back, and this guy was telling me, listen, the way to solve bad teachers is the same way they do it in the military in the US. In that, if you have a private who's put in his hours and his days, but he's not leadership material, right? You can either push him through, and he's going to mess up the system because he's not interested. He's just there to click in the clock. Or what the military would often do is give him his retirement salary. We'll be like, hey, we'll give you $30,000, which would be his retirement, and go. You can take it and go.
Yeah.
And most of those people are just in it for the hours, right? And so once they got that call out, they're all gone. And for the military, right, that's not a lot of money. Yeah. And the same thing is for the schools, right? Yes. I mean, from a large perspective, to just pay them out and say, go away.
Well, that's why we're paying private schools. And parents are that's the thing, I can't even also always blame. It's not blame. You can't say it's always the teacher's fault or the school's fault. There's also sometimes parents, Again, I can't even blame the parents because even when you sign up to be a mom, it doesn't come with a handbook how to parent your child, once you have a baby. So also I know a lot of parents out there are also trying to do their best. Mm. But it also would be nice if there's teachers who are trying to do their best, It's a lot to do. I mean, if I wanted to be an ABA therapist, is it because I'm doing it for the money, or is it because I'm passionate and wanting to help the children? Because I had difficulty myself. I know the struggles, and I was just fortunate enough. My parents were fortunate that I was sent off to UK, but not everybody's fortunate. So that's why I changed. That's why I chose this career path. Sure,
but I don't think it's an argument of saying like, oh, kids in boarding schools or kids in paid schools have a better chance or whatever. I don't think that's necessarily true, and I think a lot of it comes down to the child itself, who they hang out with, their culture, basically, and how their household is. Right, nature versus nurture versus culture.
I can say there are some parents are phenomenal parents. Hands-on.
And then others aren't meant to be parents. Full circle.
I'm trying to not say yes or no. I'm just gonna say.
I'll play devil's advocate again. I do that a lot for the guests.
So yeah, I mean, yep. I don't know. and some parents are just they want the best for their children, but they want you to fix my kid.
Yeah, well, they don't.
My child, fix it.
They don't want the best for their child. What they want is for the child to be whatever they want them to be. That's where the truth of that comes from, right?
Well, you know what? That's fine with me. If they planning to pay me, I'll and I'm the one's gonna be rich with money.
Sure, but if you knew how to turn people to do something or want something that they don't want to, then you wouldn't be working this job. You'd be working in intelligence. You would be out of here.
I was saying to one of my friends, like earlier, I was giving her advice, on a message. I said, listen, you posted this, and she was like, okay. And I was like, listen, I'm not intervening, just explaining. You're my friend, but be careful because this can go
sideways. Sure.
Sideways, and then you're gonna call me. You do not want to call me. I'm not cheap. That's what I said. I am not cheap. You do not want to call me.
And Aisha is not going to cover it.
It's not exactly. It's not going to be cheap. And trust me, you're just going to be pulling your hair in every end. Some people listen, some people don't. And the ones who don't listen,
ring.
I get the calls. Yes, I end up getting calls. And then when they complain, I was like,
but people don't want free stuff. Maybe sometimes they want to pay.
What? They want to pay.
I think there's also inherent truth to that. I think in a larger sense, people don't often want free stuff because when it's free, it's bad. If it's paid, it's premium.
I love my job. I love what I do, but I do need money to live as well. So there you go.
I bet you, I will put 5BD on the table right here that if and next time somebody calls you like for advice and stuff like that, friends or family, right? So shuf, if you want my professional advice, it's going to cost you. If you don't, I can tell you from a friend. And I bet you when they go like, okay, I'll pay you your professional advice, they will fucking do it. I will bet you. I will bet you.
Well, you know what? I'll take on that bet. Let's get it. I actually, that would be interesting.
I'll bet you because then it becomes, well, I've spent it. So if I don't implement it, then I've wasted money.
Actually, that's a good idea.
I bet you.
Oh, that's a great idea. But I would love to, like I said, I enjoy what I do. Of course, people say, oh, it's such a rewarding job. Yes, it's a rewarding job, as you wanted to say. But for me, I don't, again, my feeling is like, it's a rewarding job, but for me, it's a job.
It is what it is.
I love I just enjoy what I do. It's a job. It's me working, helping, and that's it. I don't do it for reward.
Yeah, of course.
It's
nice to do. Let's not like also belittle it.
Yeah, so it's rewarding if I'm doing it for free, if it's volunteer, That's sure. I feel this is for me, Again, everyone looks at it differently, but for me, it's rewarding if I'm doing it voluntarily.
Sure.
I'm still getting paid for it. So I tell parents in the end of the one I believe is more rewarding is parents who have to deal with their special need child 24/7 and they have to
years and years, yeah.
Years for the rest of life and not getting paid for it. I go home.
Well, mashallah alayhum, because
it's not easy.
A lot of parents just put them in the system as well.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of parents who don't.
No, I'm not belittling them. I'm just saying, mashallah alayhum, a lot, like I just said, a lot of parents say, hey, you know what, there's a problem with a child.
That's true. There's that time. But
give it up.
But I'm talking about the ones who are actually have to go through the beatings or the child breaking things and the mess, all of that stuff, going through 24/7. Very hard.
Interesting.
And I come there as a therapy, but then after that I go home and I sleep.
Do you treat any kids who are twins or have brother and sister who exhibit the same conditions or the same symptoms? There's a fantastic study I read. Dan, look it up, and it's called my brain. It's called how do I explain it into Google search? Copying mental illness. So it's a coping mechanism that certain twins and brothers will have when one sibling has, what's it called? How can you read it out? Fractious disorder is a serious mental disorder in which someone deceives others by appealing sick. No, that's Munchausen, also known as. Can you scroll down? What's No, that's coping, not copying. Scroll down. There's a copycat syndrome, which is something completely different. Scroll down further. So well, I'll explain it to you basically. It's super fascinating, and it's rarely documented because it's so rarely documented or exhibited. Here, I can't even.
Ecopraxia.
Exopraxia.
Ecopraxia. Exopraxia it's just that's not.
No, it's something different then.
Ecopraxia is just like they're very echoic.
No. So go back to Google search. Anyways, I'll explain the condition. So what would happen is that if someone has for example schizophrenia, their brother, aunt, friend, sister, brother could exhibit the same symptoms just by being proximately close to them, by spending so much time with them, and so when you depart them and remove them, all the symptoms disappear on that person. There's a very famous case between two twins who were diagnosed both with schizophrenia and bipolar. But when they this is terrible. One of the twins killed someone, and when they went to the jail and they separated the two, the mental condition for one of them immediately improved, drastically.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So I wonder if you have any similar effects potentially with your pensions if you would separate the two kids.
I didn't have
twins or brothers or sisters
at the same time, but there's like one. I had a twin. One was more than the other one, and one of them is like has learning difficulty and I don't know what and other issues, and one of them no. So was quite smart, and she was fine and okay with academics and everything, was go-getters, But the other one, no, she has a lot of, dyslexia and everything and that, and as well a lot of other as well IQ level very low. So
which is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, but it's very borderline of
sure
lower than average.
Sure. I mean, IQ, one, fluctuates, and two, you know that your successfulness is actually dictated by your IQ, not up but down. You know why? Because the higher your ratio of your IQ is, the more risk averse you are, because you know the full extent of the potential risk.
Okay, I got it. What you mean? Okay.
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that just
too much IQ?
Isn't that like a perfect knot?
Yes, that's why there's a lot of some autistic kids. They have, I can tell you, I had one of the interesting client.
You mean a Rain Man syndrome?
You can say he was like a Rain Man syndrome. Rain Man
syndrome, yeah, from the movie, yeah.
As you want to call it.
It is called a Rain Man syndrome. Yeah. Danny, double check me.
I know it's a Rain Man syndrome, but I'm just explaining.
Oh, sure.
So, he was. So if I asked him, I'll just say his name is.
We can cut this
out.
Yeah.
No, I never used the child's name ever. So what day is? So if I say to him, what day is September 14, 1993? And he'll just go like for a second, he'll say the name of the day.
Yeah.
And
that's not uncommon. Yeah, that's.
And mom was so surprised how, and I did it as a fun, and we were doing all of that, and he would say,
Akash, rain.
Oh, rain.
You fucking.
Oh my goodness. Rain Man syndrome?
Isn't it called Rain Man syndrome? Or is that just like a movie term that they did? It's called savant syndrome. There we go.
Okay, so yeah,
That's offensive.
He just said Rape Man syndrome.
No, I said Rain Man syndrome, and he heard it as Rape Man syndrome. And we're all offensive because it's called savant syndrome.
I know. That's what I'm saying. There's no such thing as Rain Man syndrome. So, I had one child if I give him a big sum number, he'll just tell me the full total like that. So it was so good because when I wanted to do calculation accounting, I was like, you know, for example, his name is Ali. Ali, how much is blah, 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 blah? And I was like, okay, I don't need a calculator. There you go.
But he had deficiencies in other areas, I assume.
Yes.
There we go. There's a price to pay for genius.
Exactly. Albert Einstein was one of them. They said that Albert Einstein was is autistic, but you know.
Albert is very interesting because he famously said, "I wish I was better at maths."
Yeah. But he was more genius in the other side. So they always have something like, and not necessarily all. See, one of the things people think if they're autists, they're all genius. I was like, no. It's a huge spectrum, you know. So
it's a larger case story. I mean, with Albert, to get more precise, because I imagine a lot of the audience doesn't know this. He was mostly famous for his thought experiments, right? What would happen if you travel on a train at near the speed of light? What would happen if you're in a car? You travel at the speed of light. You turn on the traffic. We turn on the lights. Would you see in front of you or not? If you're already traveling at the speed of light. Yeah. What happens if you put a watch on top of a waterfall and the bottom of a waterfall? You know.
So he was good in physics.
He was very good at physics, but mostly what was powerful is to be frank, his imagination, right? Because most of his was thought experiments. And
that's a question. Is it imagination or he sees something that you can't see?
I agree.
Because, you know, how the autistic ones that they crack codes and stuff. They see, like let's say, for example, you're flipping
they see patterns. Yeah.
But they see like as they go around and they can I like to call them like they're like little Spider-Mans. They were like, what do you mean? It's like, okay, and do you see, you know, like when Peter Parker, when he just got stung and how it turns, once he starts to, you know, all the senses, his vision and his sound and everything and his touch, everything becomes so 100%. The same with them, because they see things from very far. They can see it gets so bright, you know, or the sounds gets from far. They can hear it gets really irritating, you know. It's a lot to take. I mean, and then they have to learn how to control. It's like Peter Parker had to learn how to control it.
What a nice example.
I know. I kept on saying.
Do you use that as a sales pitch?
It's like it's Spider-Man. They're like little Spider-Man. Think of Spider-Man. Think of Peter Parker. You know.
I like that.
That's how I look at it. It's like, you know, when he starts grabbing things and start climbing things, you know, and has touching little things. Same, you know, it feels good, sensories. So I just like to look at it. It's like, you know, their senses just becomes like Spider-Man's.
And again, back to your business, how you said you wanted to get it up to 50 potential customers on a monthly basis. How many of them would you be seeing then a week? That would be like 12 kids a week, about that?
Well, that's why there will be supervisors. There's one. I'm not the only one. There will be other I'm not the only one who's going to go around with all 50. You know, there will be other BCBAs on the board, not just myself. You know, so we do other certified behavior analysts. You know, there will be, you know, like clinical directors. There's a lot of stages. There will be like outreach therapist, lead therapist. There's a lot of team will be on board for this, so we can able, you know, every cases that we have to work on.
Jesus, that you have a lot of bureaucracy ahead of you and a lot.
That's what I'm saying. It's
structuring.
Not me only. Oh, I'm just gonna do all. No, that's impossible. That's me not having a life.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh my god.
But it is something I'm hoping in the future, something that I'm planning to do one step at a time. With someone. It's a plan. We're planning it out. We're still in a planning process, you know.
Okay.
People ask me what it is. I kept on saying I'm not going to say it now until actually it is. It's out there.
So you found a local VC who's willing to contribute.
You know, she's the same as same field as mine.
Oh, okay. So it's a joint venture then.
Yeah. So we're just trying to. It's gonna take time until we have this planned out, because we're still on we're we are meeting time to time and doing a business proposal for this.
You know what? I think, sorry to interrupt you, but I think what you're really missing right now is you have to either do like a newsletter, a video or podcast or something, or interviews or something where you can raise awareness in the local market for attention.
We are doing that. I mean, not the podcasts and stuff, but like a lot of TVs, interviews, not magazine, newspapers. But again, you have to remember it also.
It's cost enormous amount, and your reach isn't that great, no?
No, but we're I mean, right now, I am going one step at a time.
No, I understand.
Because it's just exhausting as well, because it's also taking your time out of everything else.
Absolutely.
Like coming here.
Absolutely. And I hope you enjoyed it at least.
I'm enjoying it, yes.
Yeah, you got plenty of snippets that you could use for marketing material, I hope. Right?
It is enjoying. It's been, but in the end of the day, it's marketing is exhausting as well. People, hopefully we're going to have a marketing person as a team, inshallah, hopefully once we start off,
I mean,
we're just this is gonna take a bit, one step at a time. But right now I'm focusing a lot and finishing few things.
This is exactly, by the way, the argument that me and Dan constantly have.
Okay.
Because I'm a fond believer in motion over action. As in, you plan, you do. That doesn't mean you over plan, but planning. The old adage, right? Planning is useless, but planning is priceless.
Yes, if you're just planning just like that, there's no point. No, so we're planning and we're doing it one step at a time. So we're taking steps, and we're going to that direction. And hopefully, once it's ready, it's going to be ready soon. Do
you for your essays and stuff like that? And I mean, this is how I still operate. But do you still operate the same way in that you write up a skeleton structure? Like a skeleton, like this is how I did my essays, by the way. So I was wondering because me and you both did it like very last minute deadline kind of situations, I would always take, like, if my deadline is, let's say, I don't know, on the 15th, on the 10th I would start doing research, just a little bit of reading, right, just a little bit. Then on the 11th to 12th I would start doing a structure, which would be like, okay, that argument works good here, that argument goes there, this argument goes there. Then I'd have like a day break, just relax. And then the final 2 days is when I would stay up for 48 hours. I would put on Star Trek and have a book. And every chapter I finished reading, I would write 500 words. And back and forth, and back and forth. At the same time, having Star Trek like on the TV.
I don't know how this is going to work, but I don't know what you mean. But brainstorms, you mean?
No, is that not how you did your essays at university?
We have dissertation.
In your your essays, your dissertation.
I want to remember what's our dissertation.
How did you plan it? How did you write it? Did you just like sit down and just said like, fuck it, I'm just going to start typing?
Oh God, I don't remember. Maybe I kind of did. I mean, it was uni, right? I mean, a couple of Red Bulls and just typing.
But the reason, because that's the
deadline, we just get things done. Okay, we passed, yay!
But that's the reason why exactly what I'm asking is like your structure for your business. Did you follow the same suit as what you did at uni, or did you change?
I wouldn't be like uni because I was never doing anything in the uni. I was pretty much doing everything last minute and just, That's
exactly what I'm asking.
No. It's definitely with the structure. Definitely we are planning it out we are brainstorming it. We are
killing it.
Yes, we're researching it. We have I have my husband's on board on it. So yeah,
that's the most important.
Yeah, because again,
if otherwise there would be big problems. Khalas.
No, because he's actually for the part of auditing and stuff like that. Value.
He's finance. He's
banker. Yes, we need and things that I don't know what's out there. Of course, I'm just a therapist. I don't know more than that. And the marketing, they know more.
Well, this is another thing why you need Tamkeet for is because they'll also pay 50% of your marketing budget.
That's why we're we're gonna go through that as well. There's also other things as well out there, but we're not sure what it is. But
Yeah, there. I think
that's just Temp Keen. There's also
Ministry of Education, I think, does something as well.
So we're gonna get there.
Yeah, I think there are some programs available. Like
Yeah. So this business
regionally.
planning has just been a couple of months now. It's been like we've been planning it more than 6 months, 7-8 months now. So, but we're in the process here. It's already going slowly. So we're gonna get there.
Good luck, because running a business, having a kid, 2 kids,
Young age as
husband who's waiting at home. This is
Yeah, he's a great supporter as well. He's never once. Sometimes he knows I come home late, and he's
like today.
Oh yes, exactly like today. And he will say fine, and he'll take care of everything while I do what I need to do. And sometimes when he has to do something, I'm there supporting him. So it's a teamwork.
So before we wrap it up, is there anything else you'd like to tell people? Reach out to you, how they find you?
You can read. I do. I know I call it love my psoriasis.
Sure.
I guess I do love my skin and my psoriasis, but also my page is about being an advocate for skin problem information, and about ABA, and pretty much about parenting as well as a parent.
Give me a rough deadline. When do you think the business is going to start? Rough deadline.
Maybe
a year, a month.
Yeah, maybe a year.
Okay, because the podcast is coming out in a month. Otherwise, I could have done like a snippet of me just saying, "Hi there. Today I'm introducing." Right.
But people can come to the nursery daycare. I mean, our daycare.
Is there a social media presence for that daycare?
Yes, it's called Little Miracle.
Danny.
Little Miracle's daycare. If you go to yes.
Little.
Yeah.
L-I. He's having a period today.
Yeah. There's that green stuff. Down. Yeah, this one. So we've got the Little Miracles daycare, and one of the thing is, it's phenomenal. We take from 8 months baby till all the way to 4 years old, and it's really nice actually. Parents, it's from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. Parents, and the pricing is, we don't have most schools, they have term breaks and I don't know what. There's none of that.
Okay.
It's always open except for public holidays.
Scroll up, Danny. Cash, scroll up. Stop. Open the offer where the phone number is so I can read it out to the audience listeners.
Yeah.
Okay, so in case you can't find Little Miracles
Yes.
Daycare Center on Instagram, because it's Little Miracles Daycare.bh. Just in case you can't find it, here's the phone number, 375-771-77. I'll say that one more time, 375-771-77. Just call up. I think it's their same WhatsApp number. Is that correct?
Yes. It's the same as the WhatsApp number.
It's the same as the WhatsApp number. You can get more information directly from them and potentially go through a phone call and get some support.
It's from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. We also teaching those little kids. There's no term breaks. Prices is affordable. Not I understand there's some people are paying 2,000 dinars a year for 1.5, 2 years old, which is something they're supposed to have fun and they have a lot of term breaks. This is it starts from 150 dinars to 200 per month.
Okay.
Which is fantastic. And they do a lot of fun stuff.
And you probably only have 2-3 seats available at the moment. I think you guys are almost packed, no?
No, we still have seats because we're still brand new. We're still brand new. We've been there.
No, but you market it by saying that it's almost full, so you have an urgency for people to message you.
Well, I'll be honest.
Sure.
You said there's few.
There's a few space available.
That's what I was trying to say, but not
there we go.
Okay,
correct
that's
it.
what okay, sorry.
Okay.
I mean, we still. I'm not saying that we don't have.
We'll correct this in the post.
Yes. Okay.